What's good, Pensare Basketball Nation? The Toronto Raptors lose. And it was interesting how they lost. They ended up shooting better from three. They ended up shooting better from the field than the New York Knicks. And the Knicks are a dominant offense, but they're a terrible defense. And you saw a lot of that tonight, especially in transition, where the Knicks truly struggled. Karl Anthony Towns was an absolute beast on the glass. He had 14 rebounds in what felt like his first 13 minutes on the court. It was absolutely domination. And this happened pretty much every single time the Raptors have faced Karl Anthony Towns. For whatever reason, they have absolutely no answer for him. He spaces them out a little too much. And inside, he's just too strong. Facing off against the Raptors, honestly, every time I watch Karl Anthony Towns against the Raptors, it feels like I'm watching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, man. It's crazy. Now, what's happening right now in the NBA is trade deadline, obviously less than 48 hours away, less than 40 hours away at this point. Is it? 41. We're 41 hours away from the trade deadline. And everyone is watching everybody right now, not only for what they're going to do, but also for who's winning, who's losing. And maybe you're also watching the lottery balls tonight. And I got good news for you. A lot of good things happened in terms of your future tonight. Number one, a good thing that happened was your rookies balled out. Jamal Shead was awesome. Jonathan Mobo was awesome. Jacoby Walter was awesome. Jameson Battle didn't go off the bench, but he was dressed and he could have played. And Ulrich Shamshay wasn't in the gym, but, he's been balling out in the G League. I think the Toronto Raptors, their rookies are awesome. And it wasn't the vets who kept you in this game. It wasn't Scottie Barnes and Emmanuel Quickley and Jakob Pertl. It wasn't necessarily those guys. It was the rookies. It was the compete that those rookies showed. It was also Grady Dick. It was that unit with Grady plus three rookies plus Kelly Olynyk that staged a huge comeback in a game that was looking like it was about to be a 35 to 40 point blowout. This was impressive. You know what else bodes very, very well for your future tonight? Every team that you wanted to win tonight actually won. Brooklyn won tonight against Houston. Brooklyn is on a 3-game win streak. Chicago is about to beat Miami, which feels crazy to say, but is true. And Portland is currently up by 6 against Indiana. And Philadelphia beat Dallas. So it has happened again, Toronto Raptor fans. Once again, the tank gods are tempting you because you have firm grasp of the 5th worst record in the NBA right now with a game separating you and the next team. And tonight, it felt like the Raptors were willing to lose this game. And it's very weird how selective they are about which games they're willing to win and which games they're willing to lose. But I'm telling you, man, I could sense it in that second quarter where the Raptors got blown out 38 to 17. I'm like, this feels like an unrecognizable team. The Toronto Raptors have been the best defense in the league for the last 10 games. And the best defense in the last 10 games does not get out rebounded, out muscled, out hustled, and beat to every loose ball the way the Raptors did. It was a disgusting effort. I'm gonna be honest. It was not good. It was not good. This was not a fun game to watch in the first half. But what was so fun was watching these rookies play, watching them make mistakes, and then watching them come back and make up for those mistakes, watching them hit shots. Jamal Shead had 16 points and 9 assists in a game that his team lost by 6. He was a plus 10. Yo, that's amazing. That's amazing. Let's take a look at what happened here. Here's the game flow. Now, it's worth noting the Knicks never quite looked back. But you cut it to like 1 point with 2 minutes and 49 seconds to go. You staged a huge comeback in the third and then another huge comeback in the fourth. Comeback number 1, right here. You were down 73-91. And that bench unit started to chip away at that lead. And you cut it to 10. And then it goes back to 15, 16, 14. And then now you boom. 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. It's an 8-point game. And it was the defense. It was the compete. and it felt like there was a lid on the basket for the Knicks, and it didn't feel like they knew what hit them. Now, to be fair, the Knicks were coming off a back-to-back against Houston last night, in which they won. But this was a very competitive game for a team that, frankly, had no business being in this game. RJ Barrett was out with concussion protocol. Y'all remember in the previous game against the Clippers, he hit his head against the ground. And honestly, my first reaction when that happened was, that's a concussion. That's exactly what a concussion looks like. And I was so surprised when he came back right into the game. And I was like, damn, that quick, huh? Weird. But so what? No excuses. They were without RJ Barrett. They're on a back-to-back. I mean, sorry, you're without RJ Barrett, but they're on a back-to-back. You're without RJ Barrett, but they're without OG Anunoby. Tell me which one of those two players is more impactful to the overall, result of winning, right? Okay. At halftime, I mean, Jakob Poeltl was in the game to close the second quarter, but suddenly at halftime, we get a notification that Jakob Poeltl has a hip pointer. He's not coming back. And cue the tank, right? You're already down huge. I think we were down 15 or 14 at the half. And now it's like, okay, Jakob Poeltl ain't coming back. So Kelly Olynyk starts in place of him. Scottie Barnes does a lot better job on Karl-Anthony Towns in the second half, man. I got to tell you, Karl-Anthony Towns was on pace for like 40 and 30. Like, there was nothing Jakob Poeltl could do with that dude. I think Scottie did a much better job on Karl-Anthony Towns, and I think that it really helped the team. Offensively, though, Scottie Barnes was not great tonight. 8 for 23 is not something that I'm used to seeing from him. The 1 for 5 from 3 is a little deceptive. The Raptors, obviously, to close the game, they were down 6. They start heaving threes. Scottie takes 2. Grady takes 1. Jacoby takes 1. Clank, 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 clank. Offensive rebound, offensive rebound. And ultimately, there goes your percentages. But, Scottie got to the line 6 times. I think he should have gotten to the line more times. We can talk about that. We can definitely talk about that. We can talk about Jack Armstrong's critique that Scottie Barnes cries for calls too much. We can definitely talk about that. Maybe even look at the play that he was bitching about. Maybe he needs to grow from those moments. But you had Jamal Shead come off the bench in 23 minutes and basically be your best player. I'm not even capping when I say that. Jamal Shead was the Raptors' most impactful player. They tell you not to look at plus minus. I'm telling you to look at plus minus right now. Jamal Shead was the best player for the Raptors tonight. Just his impact, his energy was absolutely infectious. Everyone ran so hard and competed so hard when he was on the court. He had touchdown pass after touchdown pass repeatedly. I think Kelly Olynyk was competitive tonight. Really competitive. I think he played really well. Overall, I think Kelly Olynyk played well. Bruce Brown was fine. But you really want to know if the Raptors care about winning or losing a game? Just look at who they play. It's so obvious. When they start putting 2-3 rookies on the court together, it's because they're willing to lose this game. And tonight, it's funny because you put those 2-3 rookies on the game, and instead of losing the game, they damn near won you the game. They almost won you the game. It was close, man. You had it within 1 with less than 3 minutes to go. Let's take a look at the team stats because it didn't look so nice. In the second quarter, the Raptors could not buy a 3 to save their lives. They end up shooting 11 for 29. And honestly, it was close to 40% before those 4 heaves at the end. It was like 41 to 43%. Like they outshot the Knicks tonight. Their defense geared up in the second half. They shot 95% from the free throw line. Where you lost was second chance points. Really, that's just what it is. It was points in the paint, 62 to 56. It was the assists overall. I mean, I think Scottie had so many potential assists tonight where someone just kind of dropped it, hands the game with 5 assists. But overall, like, really, when you look at this game, you're like, okay, 26 assists to 27 assists. Yeah, that's it. That's what it is. That's what it is. But, man, what a fun game. I'm going to really enjoy the shit out of the film session tonight because I thought this was just awesome. So many clip moments from Jonathan Mobo that maybe they didn't talk about on the broadcast. It's going to be fun. Okay. So the aforementioned man of the hour, Jamal Shead, who had the Raptors actually pulled this off, would have definitively 1000% gotten the chain. But okay, here we go. Jacoby Walter. He's been good in starts, man. He's been good. And here he starts off nice. Grady hit a shot. It was Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick, and Jacoby Walter who hit the first 3 shots of the game. And boom, great little action there to get him the ball. Here, Scottie Barnes getting right past Mikal Bridges. Nice. See more of that. Absolutely. See more of that. And I mean, again, he has these moments where you're just like, man, when he puts this shit together, this is on Precious Achiuwa, right? Little manipulation, Precious a little bit off balance. Precious is a really good point of attack defender, and he's pretty much designed to defend a guy like Scottie Barnes. We saw a lot of really impressive moments with Precious Achiuwa defensively on really talented players, including guys like Joel Embiid. So, Precious is more than capable. But I'll tell you another guy who's really capable of doing some stuff. And that guy is Jacoby Walter. Watch this play. How confident is this guy? Boom. Josh Hart's a pretty decent defender. I'm not saying he's a great defender. He's not OG Anunoby, but he's a pretty decent defender. Just pulling up and splashing on him off the dribble. Love it. Great pass by Emmanuel Quickley. Finds Bruce Brown for one of his only baskets of the night, if not his only basket of the night. But good swing play there. Type of role player shit that, you love to see. Here, Scottie Barnes. Barbecue chicken when you see Karl-Anthony Towns in his defensive stance. All right. Boom. Boom. Let's get in there. That's perfect, man. That is perfect. Get this shit down pat. No one will ever be able to stop you. Ever. It's just not a stoppable move. The process of offense for Scottie. See, this is the stuff that he could do in his sleep. This is easy. This is easy offense. Boom. Screen. Boom. Just a little off-ball cut. How many times do we see Scottie Barnes slip a screen like this in his second year, in his first year? This is all his buckets in the first and second year were like this, right? Put your head down. This was a play of the night. Every good thing happened because of a bad thing. So Grady Dick dove out of bounds trying to save the basketball, which sparked a Deuce McBride fast break for the Raptors. Now, how many times do I want to say this before it gets old? I love Ochai Agbaji at the rim. He is one of the few guards in the league that can really guard at the rim. And look at that block. Oh my God, was my reaction. And look at the processing speed. And this is why you love having bigs who can actually pass. Because, whether you're talking about Kevin Love, Nikola Jokic, you're talking about like these outlet pass merchants. Kelly Olynyk is really good at this. And because Grady Dick hadn't gotten back on defense, he gets a little bit of cherry picking. Anyone who played high school basketball knows a lot about cherry picking. So, yes, that was great. But it all starts with the defense. But it doesn't happen without Kelly processing the court really quickly. And how many times did we see the Raptors, a couple of years ago, just miss these easy transition passes against teams that weren't defending? How many times did we make a low light film of Fred VanVleet or Pascal Siakam or Chris Boucher or somebody just missing a simple pass up the court that would have led to 2 easy points? Well, the Raptors don't miss a lot of options to 2 easy points anymore. And that's the best thing I can say about them for sure. Look at this play. Scottie Barnes. Again, this is not something you're going to be able to stop once he figures out his footwork and just get some repetitions here. This is what this season is about, man. This is the season to get him these types of looks. You may not be super happy with the end result of his game. You may not think like, okay, this is, look at the shooting percentage, 8 for 23. Those are like some Cade Cunningham percentages. Stars shoot 8 for 23 all the time. What I'm impressed by is that he took 23 shots in 32 minutes. And a lot of them, even the ones that missed, showed me impressive shit like this. Watch. Now here, you're taking on 2 7-footers at the rim. And the only thing that I'm telling Scottie Barnes, if I'm doing this film session with him, is stop going away from the defense. You need to go into the defense here, draw the contact. Instead, you're falling away. No, go into the shot blocker. Don't go away from the shot blocker. You're actually helping them out. But he gets the move to get to the rim very clearly. Now, this is one of my favorite sequences of the night. Number one, it shows me that Jacoby really is not afraid. He is not afraid. Jalen Brunson on an island, scary ass shit. Jalen Brunson, one of the craftiest players in the league. Okay? Here, boom, gets a little shaken. not stirred. Shaken, not stirred. Shaken, not stirred. Shake it up, jump. Foul, grifter, bait. Okay, cool. Now, look at Jacoby's reaction to this, because this is the most important part. I watch everything, man. I am like a hawk when it comes to body language. I want to see how much you actually care. And your body is going to tell me how much you give a shit about this. Watch Jacoby after this. He is so mad at himself for jumping on that. Do you know why he's mad? Because he knew it was coming and he still fell for it. He's like, damn it, I knew he was going to do that and I still fell for it. That is why he's mad. He's hopping mad. Watch how mad he actually is. He clapped so loud you could hear him in the 18th row. He was pissed at himself. Now, what I'm looking for when something like this happens to you is, do you go up or down? You dial up or dial down? When something bad happens to you, how do you respond to it? When you miss 2-3 shots, do you stop shooting? When you get blown by on defense, when you get dunked on, what is your response? This is all I care about. When you get crossed up or fall on your ass, do you just get timid and try to hide in a corner for the rest of the game? I don't like you. That's not a player that I like. This is Jacoby's response to this exact play. Yo, if you are not in love with this kid, watch his response. Literally the next play. This is Jacoby Walter, and he's like, oh, Jalen Brunson one-on-one against me? Bet. Watch this. Okay? Tucks it. Pump fake. Boom. Look at that. This is why you believe in this kid. This is not the only reason. This is one of 1,000 reasons. But if you needed an extra reason, let me give you that extra reason. That's the extra reason. Again, you're pissed. This guy just schooled you. He got you to jump on a pump fake. He got you to pick up a foul. Instead, what do? You come back and you do the same goddamn thing to him, and you say, "Okay, bet." This is a shit from I was going to say Rockies. I have high hopes for Scottie Barnes. This is the shit from Scottie's rookie season. When you used to see LeBron try to go at him, you used to see him come right back. You see Giannis try to rip the ball from him, he come right back and clap in his face. I want to know you're not scared. That's all. I want to know you're not scared. I want to know that you have some dog in you, that you have some compete level, because it's that compete level that, in a game 7 of a tough playoff series, I need to know who you're going to be in that moment. Are you going to shrink or are you going to rise? And I'm going to tell you right now, Jacoby's going to rise. In that moment, Jacoby Walter will rise. Just wait till he puts on a little bit of weight, figures out his reps a little bit more. Jacoby Walter. Contact, not afraid. One player who doesn't usually shy away from contact, Jacoby Walter. He's friggin' awesome, man. He just goes right into these dudes. He has like reckless abandon. He's like a crash test dummy. He just does not give a shit. Precious Achiuwa at the rim, boom, right into him. He has been so well coached. Man. Okay, Jamal Shead, point guard masterclass. If you are a young point guard, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no player on this team that you need to watch more than Jamal Shead. Don't watch Scottie Barnes. You're never going to be able to do that. But watch Jamal Shead. You might, with enough practice, be able to do what he does. Watch this. Sprint the ball up the court. Force the commitment. Find the advantage. Find the lane. Again, something true about life. You can't go in 2 directions at once. If you force them to go into the paint. Now watch this. Look and keep your head up. Okay. Another thing that they tell you as a point guard, keep your goddamn head up. How many point guards do you know that are taking breathers when they're bringing the ball up the court and they've made up their mind that, oh, this is going to be a slow possession? You don't know if it's going to be a slow possession. What if you have a teammate who's running? What if you have a guy who's, I don't know, fell over or something? You need to keep your eyes up and open. And Jamal Shead never, ever caught looking down. Look at that beautiful, beautiful pass. On time, on target, perfect. Okay. I tell you, Jamal Shead is just really good at this shit. I'll tell you another guy who's really good at passing the basketball, and that's Scottie Barnes. Manipulate the defense. Don't project your passes. He is looking. Watch this. He's looking at Jonathan Mobo. right? Why does he look at Jonathan Mobo? We have a tendency to watch people's eyes when they have the basketball. Not only do we have a tendency to overfocus on the basketball, which is why you should generally have the basketball in your best player's hands, but we tend to look at their eyes a lot. We don't tend to look at their hips. We tend to look at their eyes. And when their eyes are really looking the other way, where is he passing? It's not, he's selling this whole thing. It's a facade. It's a mirage. He knows exactly where he's passing this basketball. Like right here, he knows exactly where he's passing this basketball. Watch this. I'm going to slow this down like super hardcore so you can see like how Scottie manipulates the defense in slow time. Okay. He knows Robinson is open, right? But he needs to get Mikal Bridges to commit to a non-shooter in the corner. That's tough because Mikal Bridges is splitting two offensive players right now because of a miscommunication on the Knicks end. And honestly, there's no reason for him to abandon Orlando Robinson to cheat over to a non-shooter like Jonathan Mobo in the corner. He doesn't care what Jonathan Mobo has been shooting in the G League. He doesn't care that Jonathan Mobo shot 3 for 5 from 3 in the G League the other day. He doesn't care. That's a non-shooter. On the scouting report, that's a non-shooter. So right now, Scottie has to manipulate Mikal Bridges to get away from Orlando Robinson so he can throw this pass. See, by looking at Jonathan Mobo, he freezes Mikal Bridges, which allows him to do this. Look at Mikal Bridges' body. And this is going to be too late. Pump fake. And boom. Just in case you're wondering, that goes in. So I'm just saying, it's small things, man. But those 2 points are really wide open, much more wide open because he did that. Otherwise, Mikal Bridges is just going with the roller. Why would he cheat off the shooter? So this is when we're talking about, you need to get Devin Booker, you need to get Brandon Ingram. Well, I'll tell you what, you're not cheating off of those guys. You will never cheat off of those guys the way you're willing to cheat off of guys like Jonathan Mobo and Orlando Robinson and Ochai Agbaji or whoever, right? Okay. I was saying all night that no one was stopping Karl-Anthony Towns. But there's 2 guys who did a pretty decent job in the second half. One of them is Scottie Barnes. The other one is Jonathan Mobo. I think Mobo competed really hard on multiple plays against Karl-Anthony Towns. Look at this. Rips it clean and then gets up for the rebound. Do you know how hard that is? Number one, to time this takes hand-eye coordination without the foul. So no bailing him out. Number 2, Cat is huge. He's usually pretty quick to the basketball too. But look at who gets there first. Jonathan Mobo gets off the ground faster than anyone else on this team. He is the best at getting off the ground, and then he's the best at the second jump as well. Here, underrated as hell play. They didn't talk about it very much on the broadcast, but look at this defense by Jonathan Mobo. Again, the Knicks killed the Raptors with this play or some variation of this play all night, where the Raptors kind of fall asleep and then boom, there comes the cutter from the other side, and it's an easy 2 points at the rim. Here, Jonathan Mobo is going to buy him some extra time by actually deflecting this pass. Boom, first the deflection, and now second, he forces it out of bounds, and third, he forces a foul. And what does he get for all of his troubles? A bruised lip. But you know what? That's how you win basketball games. You know how you don't win basketball games? This bullshit by number 55, whose last name I cannot pronounce. I apologize. Hackapurdy. I'm just going to call him Hackapurdy because I don't know how to really pronounce his name, and I'm kind of like used to people screwing up European names. Hookporty. Is it Hookporty? Ariel. We're going to call him Ariel. Okay. Don't worry, guys. I don't butcher too many last names. I think it's Hookporty. But elbowing Scottie Barnes in the head like this, and let me guess, this is not helpful. You're going to have to phonetically say it out for me. honestly, this is not, I'm going to say it's a dirty play, but that's a foul. You need to call that shit. One of those guys is basically like a rookie, and the other one is an all-star at home. You need to call that shit. You know what else you need to call? You need to call this shit. Jalen Brunson's an ass defender. Scottie Barnes is off balance because Jalen Brunson is hitting him because he is on an island and his help is Karl-Anthony Towns. So he is fucked in this situation. And it's a really close game at this point. And Scottie Barnes looks over at the referee like, are you going to call this? This dude is stepping under my foot, which you cannot do. He's grabbing my arm, which you cannot do. You think that's not a foul? At what point is it reaching across the body not a fucking foul? If Scottie Barnes ever did that to Jalen Brunson, he might get tossed out of the fucking game. Yo, like, is he at home? Am I crazy? Am I tripping? Do I see a Raptors court or a Knicks court? Yo, this is a home kid. Like, 3-point game. You got, like, this is so frustrating. Now, honestly, I don't give a shit that they lost, really. I mean, I'm kind of pro Tank. But for the process of, this is a fucking foul. Now, I'm going to tell you what was most frustrating about this play. Not only did he clearly foul him 3 times, okay? 3 times on one play. Not only are you having a notoriously terrible defender who's suddenly shutting down a player twice his size, who's a good offensive player, you have Jack Armstrong sitting there instead of saying that's a foul. And, you know, to the fans at home who saw that play live, all you see is a spoiled brat complaining for a foul. Instead, what you should be seeing is the refs corruptly robbing you of a game. And you have your own hometown dumbass saying, that's not a time to be looking for a call if you're Scottie Barnes. Yo, with hometown announcers like this, who needs enemies? I just want to know. Scottie Barnes literally got to the line, I think 2 plays later, didn't finish the and one, got to the line for 2, and all I heard was he needs to finish that. He shouldn't have, I can't believe he didn't finish that. He should have finished that. And it's like, bro, like, it's like every single thing that these guys do, and it's not just Scottie, yo. It's not just Scottie. Anytime a player gets paid in this city, this motherfucker just goes on and on and on about everything about them. Unless they're Canadian, of course. And I don't understand why a guy from Brooklyn even gives a fuck about that. But Immanuel Quickley is coming back from a really tough injury. And Immanuel Quickley is trying very hard. And Immanuel Quickley is a very good player. So miss me with all this bullshit that you're trying to do where you're basically trying to turn the fans against Immanuel Quickley. Like, what are you doing with your fucking life? The same shit, the same playbook with Vince Carter. Now, on the one hand, you're very good at it because you say that you like the guy. You caution everything with, you go on Will Lou's podcast and you're like, no, I just got to be honest. I really like Scottie Barnes. And then you go on the score interview and I really like Scottie Barnes. But then you sort of subtly throw in these little jabs, right? Like he's more talented than Giannis. But does he want it the same? I need to get mad about this for a second. Sorry. People sometimes want to see me crash out. Let me crash out about this. If you think Scottie Barnes is more talented than Giannis Antetokounmpo, you need to have your fucking eyes checked. You're really dumb. You actually should be fired. I'm actually pretty glad that you did get fired because you shouldn't be a basketball coach. You shouldn't be calling basketball games. You should be calling cricket games. You really are stupid if you think Scottie Barnes is more talented than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Do you understand talent? Are you blind? You can say he has better passing. Fine. You could say he's a better outside shooter, barely, but sure. You think Scottie's more talented than Giannis Antetokounmpo? That's the pressure you want to put on him right now? That the only gap between Scottie Barnes and Giannis Antetokounmpo, because look, think about what you're saying. Think about what the fuck you're saying. Giannis Antetokounmpo is probably the second best player in the NBA right now, if not the third best player in the NBA. He's the top 3 player in the NBA. Scottie Barnes right now is playing like a top 25 player in the NBA. So the gap between 25th and 3rd is so unimaginably large. If you want any context of how big that gap actually is, please understand that Anthony Davis is like the 8th best player in the league, and he just got traded for like the 4th best player in the league, and the world thinks this is the stupidest thing that's ever happened. So what you're doing right now is you're telling the world and anyone who's stupid enough to listen to you that the 20th or 25th best player in the NBA right now is more talented, according to your dumbass, than the third or fourth best player in the world, who some people think is the best player in the world. How do you comprehend the gap? How do you understand? If I'm listening to that and I believe your stupid analysis, which is that Scottie Barnes is more talented than Giannis, then what I'm thinking in my head is, well, then Scottie Barnes just doesn't try hard. Because if he's more talented, why is he 22 spots worse? Think about it. Think about what I'm saying to you. When you insinuate that a 23-year-old fourth-year player is more talented than a multi-time league MVP in his fucking prime, one of the possibly 20 greatest players of all time, and you kind of just pepper in this backhanded compliment of he's more talented, but does he have the dog? Does he have to compete? Does he have that blah, 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 blah? Now, I don't want to play the interview because the last time I tried to play that interview, we literally lost our live streaming privileges for 5 days. But please believe me, this has been brewing in me for a long time. I am sick of the way this guy covers the team. And I'm sick of the way that you guys cap for him. Now, he's not wrong that Scottie complains a little bit. Cool. What superstar doesn't? Well, I mean, shit. Does Scottie get the same whistle as Giannis? You think he's more talented than Giannis. Does he get the same whistle as Giannis? Could Jalen Brunson do this to Giannis? Or does Giannis get to the line 100 times a game? Giannis gets to the line no matter how, yo, dude, you know how long games are because Giannis gets to the line so many times? Bro takes like 38 seconds every time he's at the line. That is part of it. He's also got much better footwork. He's got much better gathers. He's much more polished and refined on his finishes. What are we talking about here? Scottie Barnes is more talented than Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is the shit you actually want to say. Like you actually believe that. If you believe that, if you actually listen to him and you believe that, you're dumb. You're really, really dumb. Like I cannot tell you how dumb you are. Will he be better than Giannis? Let us pray. Let us pray that he will be better than Giannis. That would be a phenomenal outcome. But don't sit here and try to tell me that Scottie Barnes is better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have no idea how many people sent me that fucking clip and told me that our media is absolutely insane. It's embarrassing to say something like that. But at the same time, you're probably, in your own mind, you prefer Cade Cunningham. So make it make sense. What you're really doing is you're building a narrative. You're building a narrative around a player. You just like you built the narrative that Vince Carter doesn't care about basketball and he doesn't really want to try hard. You're building a narrative. And look at the backhanded compliment. Like y'all really like need to pay attention to the words. What did he say at the end of the game? The Raptors have such a great point guard situation with Jamal, Shead, and Davion Mitchell. Davion, by the way, did not play tonight. Oh, and you know, they're getting quickly back as well. Yeah, like we know what you're doing, right? Like we get it. Just have a little bit of like common sense, bro. You're covering a product. You're being paid to make this look good. And all you do is sit there and talk shit about the franchise player and the highest paid player on the team. How is this good? How is this at all good? Do you guys listen to other commentators? Do you listen to Antonio Daniels? Do you listen to Brian Scalabrine? I'm not capping for them, but I'm saying like I've never seen another hometown commentator do this shit. Keep it real. Keep it a buck. Don't say every single foul on your team is a bullshit call. I'm not saying be a homer. I'm just saying don't be a hater. Jeez, God, I miss Chuck Swirsky so much every goddamn day. Every goddamn day I have to listen to this motherfucker talk. I miss Chuck Swirsky. I've met Jack Armstrong many times. But shit, man. You need to check your bullshit at the door. You and your fucking media cabal idiots who've been wanting this dude traded for 2 years and have some sort of, you know, Fred memorabilia or Fred nostalgia or whatever that you think like you believe, kind of like Fred's narrative about Scottie. Yo, he has proved you wrong 1,000 times. Just shut up about him. Creating this idea that he's better than Giannis, but the reason that he's not better than, he's more talented than Giannis, but the reason he's not more impactful than Giannis is because Giannis is a killer, implies that Scottie Barnes is soft. You really think he's soft? Because I've heard that narrative a lot. And you know what? I know exactly where it's coming from. It's really dumb. Okay, moving back on this. 5 minutes to crash out about Jack Armstrong every fucking day. Okay, Grady Dick, great defensive effort. Love it. Boom. I really do love this. Compete, man. Compete. It's a 3-point game. You're not a good defender? Fine. Be one. Jonathan Mobo, ladies and gentlemen. This was another great pass. Yo, there's 9 assists. You know, MEF. Does Scottie have the Mamba mentality? I don't know, bro. You tell me. How many fourth quarters has he carried this team back? You tell me. I love Rob's lies, but he's delusional the way he talks about Scottie. Are you the guy who caps for Cade every single day? No wonder you think I'm delusional about how I talk about Scottie. That's cool. All right. Boom. Boom goes the dynamite. Love it. And I just love that pass from Jamal Shead. I just think like he sees the game, man. And here, Jonathan Mobo. This would be called a foul. That's great. It's called a foul because it happened to Jalen Brunson. But you know, if the situation was reversed, Lewis saying 905 mob showed up tonight. Chemistry is there. Absolutely, man. And if the Raptors do decide to pull it apart at the trade deadline, which I'm secretly hoping they will, no matter how much I'm talking about Brandon Ingram and going the other way and Devin Booker and all that stuff, believe me, I am perfectly comfortable going the other way too. I'm not like, yeah. Like if you're going to win, win. If you're going to lose, lose. Do whatever you do well. You know what I mean? That's sort of the mentality that I've always had, which is if you're going to be a welder, weld well. If you're going to be a podcaster, podcast well. If you're going to do whatever you do in life, do it well. And frankly, if you're going to be a losing team, do it well. Okay, we got a caller. The first time in a long time. Tonious, what's up?
Hey, good evening, Rob. Yeah, I watched most of this game, and this was like I was in the Clippers game on Sunday, and I don't think the quality went down after watching that Clippers game in around where the former Sprite Zone is. And then this was a fun game. I think this was every bang for your buck, even though we were missing some of our guys. And yeah, I enjoyed it. This was like house money. This was total house money, and you ended up at the same time talking to like 2 celebrities during the time when you're spending your house money, and you didn't win your money back, but you talked to 2 top celebrities you're fans of. It's got that feeling. So yeah, and yeah, I think the refs were again, just protecting New York. I mean, it is as it is, but we do need a couple of lottery balls here and there because we're playing too well.
Well, I mean, we have the 5th worst record. So how well are we playing? We're the 25th. Hold on. We're the 26th best team in the league. There's 30 teams in the league.
Yeah. And I think if we keep this up, we're probably going to be like maybe the 8th worst. And, it's better to be kind of at the low around like the 7th or 8th, thinking that we're probably going to get the 7th or 8th. And then out of nowhere, we might go up 3 spots or 4 spots. Because if we were to be the worst team or like one of the top bottom 3, and then imagine the feeling you're waiting for the lottery results and then the absolute depression that you lose 5 spots. I mean, I don't want to go through that. I'd rather just be thinking, hey, here we are in 8th, and then you never know what's going to happen. We could go up 6 spots. I'd rather be in that position.
Okay. Have you watched a lot of the college season so far?
College season? No, I haven't really kept up with it, to be honest, because I was pretty busy with work. So this is a week that I'd actually have a whole week off. So it lets me kind of keep in touch with the trade deadline happening on Thursday. And well, what a good beginning to our trade deadline, eh? Like what the hell? And I'm hoping this helps everybody.
Absolutely. How do you feel about Brandon Ingram to Toronto?
You know what? When you look at him without looking too deep, it almost looks like we're getting Rudy Gay because he does all those like mid-range shots. But I think personality-wise, like we could be surprised. Maybe he could be a much different person than Rudy Gay, and he could be a better a more appreciative person, especially that knowing he's joining a team that has a championship and actually worked its way to a championship. So he might have a higher respect, and I'm sure he's got enough connections to know that, hey, who's going to rehab you? And, the guy who rehabbed Shaq, Kobe, and Kawhi. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should, pay attention. And his attitude's going to be different because he's joining a team that, I don't know how it feels like to be in New Orleans, but I still don't think that locker room is, even with their injuries, understandably, that locker room is still kind of it just doesn't feel like it's a clean locker room in New Orleans. So if we end up with Ingram, we'll just say, okay, well, I hope we do as much an investment to get him back to his regular market value and make him improve his play, or get him back to better health.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I looked at when I'm available, and I just bought tickets for March 2nd for as many pendant appearances. So,
that's dope. You're gonna watch a basketball documentary.
Absolutely, I don't want to miss that because I missed the money one from last year, and then I managed to just end up with the excursion. So that's okay. That's okay. First time coming in, just get a movie, something, right? So,
yeah. Well, the double doc is going to be really cool. One's about basketball, one's about hockey. So it's cool. Yeah.
Good.
All right, man. Appreciate
just
you.
One
and
more.
Yeah.
Let's one more. Mobile versus Precious. Now, finally, everybody had at least 20 to 25 minutes to know the absolute difference between those two. And I'll tell you, Precious himself many times where he tried to save the ball, throws himself out of bounds, and then he just gives it right to a fast break. And then they were like, we went on a 5-and-4 and we took advantage of it. And then they called the timeout after that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Absolutely. I hope people can see the difference. Yes, this was a Precious match. Precious played fine. Yeah. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for coming, and thanks for coming on, and see you soon. Peace.
Yes, have a good night.
Yeah, good night. Okay, we got a special treat coming up after this caller because PattyMaholmesGotNext is actually calling in. So that should be a very lively discussion about the trash nature of your franchise player. But first, because we're gonna keep things in order, JYDN, what's up, man?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
What's up, bro? I just want to hear your side on what do you think of Scottie Barnes' finishing mechanics? Because I find that games that I watch, I find weak around the rim, and he doesn't really go up strong. So I just want to see your side about that.
Well, he's been shooting a career high prior to last week, around 77, 78% around the rim, 0 to 3 feet. So I'd say his finishing has been great. But 2-3 games ago, he tweaked his ankle, and he has not looked the same around the rim. So it's been maybe a little uncomfortable landing on someone's foot, maybe a little uncomfortable getting hit in the face right now. I'm not sure. So that's kind of my read on it. He's looked a little bit different. He's moving a little bit different, a little bit more gingerly. You see him during timeouts. He looks like he's limping a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I think he's playing through some pain because, the Raptors are playing well, but I think Scottie is the biggest reason why you were a top 10, the number one defense over the last 10 games. I think he's played extremely well. And I think he's working his ass off, man, defensively. And he's doing a lot offensively. Yeah, the numbers say he's a really, really good rim finisher. But yeah, some of those finishes today were really bad.
Yeah. And also, what do you think we'll get out of him for next year? Do you think?
Define what? Like, you mean numbers?
Like numbers and just just numbers.
25, 9, 7.
Sorry, I didn't hear the points. You kind of
25.
25, 9, 7?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right, cool, man. Thanks for your time. I was just kind of curious on those two questions.
Peace, man. All right. PattyMaholmesGotNext. What up, man? Talk to me. What's up?
Yo, what's the deal? What's going on, Rob?
What's good? Okay, talk to me about Scottie Barnes and whatever the hell it is your issue with Scottie Barnes. What's your issue?
No, I love Scottie, bro. Like,
cool.
When I really thought Scottie was gonna be like a superstar or all NBA type of player. I remember it vividly, and I know you watch every Raps game, so you'll remember this. It was Raptors, Lakers, his rookie year at home. Do you remember that? And then they had like throwback jerseys or like city edition jerseys. And he had like 31-12. He was handling the ball. And I'm like, bro, this guy is going to be special. Like he was like, I'm like, this is what, like he looked like Giannis with great passing ability. Like, I'm like, this guy could be in the future. He could start at the 5. He can start at the 1. Like he can do all. Like that was the game that really impressed me with him.
Mm-hmm.
But like he's shooting 27% from 3. He can't carry an offense. Like he's a really good player, and I'm not like discrediting him, but it's just like you're saying like, oh, he's better than Franz, he's better than Mobley, he's better than Cade, and like all these guys have shown way more than he's ever shown. And like that's all. That I don't hate Scott.
Ever?
Like believe it or not, like I listened to the Bill Simmons podcast, and he had Scottie like.
That's your first problem.
All right, listen. I swear, listen. I love you. I listen to the panel like the last 2 weeks. Like I swear to you, I'm not lying. Like I love when you're on there. When you're not on there, like my interest level cuts in half because you really know basketball. Like you talk about plays, even if the plays you don't like, you still give them credit. You know, like I know you don't like Cade, but you give him credit. You're like, you know, like yo, he deserves.
I don't not like Cade.
No, I'm saying in general, like the way you talk about like the plays, like you give players credit. Like I remember watching the show, yo, like he deserved it. Like you know, like you give players credit, which is what I like about you. And I really like when you're on the panel and stuff because like you're interesting and you know a lot about basketball. But anyway, like all of it together, like so far, like you looking at the Raptors, all like you talk about all these other guys, like I just think they're like have higher ceilings than him. And until like Scottie develops more on offense, like I can't say he's a number 1 as of now. But he's still a really good player. Like he's an all NBA level defender. But we all know offense is more valuable than defense. That's about it. But anyways, I know I've been jabbering and stuff, but like what I was saying, like the Bill Simmons podcast, like the way people view Scottie and like the way people view Paolo, like I would rather have Scottie, by the way, like 100%. Paolo is like, what does Paolo do that's like, who's more valuable? It's Scottie. It's defense, mid-range. Paolo's just more stronger. He's more like, you know, he's more like has more popularity. But like if you swap Paolo right now with in Orlando's a top 4 seed. Do you agree with that? It's like Scottie and Franz right now. Like
Scottie, Franz, and Suggs would run the East.
Yeah, no. Scottie's a really good player. Like I don't get me wrong. I just think right now, like I would take Franz, Cade, and probably Mobley. But he could definitely change his by next year. I'm not anti-Scottie. I don't want you to think I'm anti-Scottie. I swear I'm not anti-Scottie. Like he's a really good game. Like that's the game I fell in love with him, man. Like because he can, like I can see it in the future. Like if you told me 3 years from now, Eastern Conference Finals, the Raptors starting center is out, and Scottie has to play the 5, and he puts up 30 and 15. I would not be surprised. Like he has that type of potential. He's really good. But like, man, if he doesn't get a 3 ball, like if you're not gonna have a 3-point shot like Giannis is 7 feet, bro. Like Giannis doesn't take a 3, he'll end up with 30 and 15 because he's like that all-time great. But you get what I'm trying to say? Like I can't put Scottie on that level until he develops on offense. But go ahead. I've been jabbering too much. I appreciate you live. And I appreciate you on the panel. I'm a big fan of yours. I have a lot of respect for you. I'm not here to troll. I'm just giving my thought. You know, I wouldn't be here just like I'm not.
Sure. Look, I think the process of developing offense is clunky sometimes. You know, he's doing things that you talk about that game against the Lakers. 31 points. You said 12 rebounds, 17 rebounds. He had 17 rebounds in that game and 6 assists. But not one assist came as like a primary option. He wasn't guarded like a primary option back then. He was a 4th option. So yeah, it's impressive that he was able to contribute as much as he was as a rookie and that he was as consistent as he was and that he was locked in as he was. But he's like a 4 times better player right now than he ever was back then. If you guarded him the way they guarded him back then right now, he'd have 50 every night. Teams are doubling him. They're tripling him. Did you watch how the Clippers guarded him? It was actually pretty impressive to watch. This is the thing. When you trade a Pascal Siakam, when you trade a Fred VanVleet, I mean, look, to give you an idea of what I mean. Tonight, Alperen Sengun, who's a very good young player. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but he's not on Scottie's level. He's like
cool, but he's good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Is Jalen Green good?
He's hit or miss, but man, he can like when he's hot, like he's the type of player. It's game 7, and let's say it's game 7. And he probably hasn't scored more than 20. Like he'll just put up 35. That's
for sure. So he's a bucket. You're telling me he's a bucket. That's good.
Yeah.
Is Amen Thompson good?
Very, very good.
He's very, very good, right?
Yeah.
So
Even though, like, I think right now, if you ask the public, I'd rather have Ahmed 100% over Scottie. I don't know about that. But
okay,
I just think
well, let me tell you something. Tonight, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, and Dylan Brooks lost to the fucking Brooklyn Nets, who were starting Keon Johnson, Zaire Williams, Jalen Wilson, D'Angelo Russell, and Nick Claxton. And they lost to them. If Scottie Barnes lost to that team with as much help as Amen Thompson, who you say some people would prefer over Scottie. Look, this is not shade on Amen Thompson. This is not shade on Alperen Şengün. I like all these players. My point is, when you remove Fred VanVleet from that equation, who is a very solid pro, despite how much shit people talk about him, despite how much shit I've talked about him, I respect the shit out of Fred VanVleet's game. When you remove Fred out of that equation, when you remove a Tari Eason, when you remove a Jeff Green and a Jabari Smith, suddenly everything becomes so hard. Jalen Green shot 5 for 14 tonight. Alperen Şengün shot 8 for 18. You know what happens when you don't have Fred VanVleet feeding you easy buckets? You shoot terribly, and he's been inefficient all year. Amen Thompson, in 40 minutes, the number one pick in the Rising Stars game, had 7 points, 8 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks, and 7 turnovers. How do you justify it? He didn't have a triple single. He had a quadruple single.
And I wouldn't be surprised, like, if he doesn't have a good playoff series. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm very enamored with him. Like this guy can do everything. But like, can you imagine if they're playing like let's say the Lakers somehow are the 7th seed, and they're like, all right, go ahead. Like, we're just gonna make you take jumper. We're gonna make you like I wouldn't be surprised if he struggled, and I wouldn't look at him differently. You know, it's his first playoff run, but like still like the way people are talking about him, like, oh, he's a top 15 player. Like, I can't go there yet. Like Scottie, like I would much rather have Scottie.
Who's your top 15 players in the league?
Oh my God, I'm not a historian like you, but
I'm not saying all time. I'm just saying right now. You don't have to be a historian to tell me who your top 15 players in the league are right now.
I'm the NBA, but I do know NBA. So okay, let's say Jokic for sure. Jokic, SGA, Giannis, Luka, KD. Now, this is not order. I'm just gonna give you the 15 from that.
Sure. Just give me 15. Yeah. Give me 15. Yeah. Okay, that's 5.
Okay. I ain't gonna lie. Chet Holmgren's the top 15. Chet Holmgren is gonna be a monster, man. I'm sorry. Like, that game he had against Denver, like, I know it's like the first week of the season, like, he destroyed Jokic. I gotta put him there. Donovan Mitchell. I know I'm forgetting so many people in my head. Name me some players, man. I'm scrambling. It's my first time.
Wemby?
Wemby. Hell yeah. Wemby. I'm going by
Tatum.
Tatum. And then let's go. Who else?
Chat, help him out. Help out Patty Mahomes on his first calling.
I'm like, please, guys, don't judge me. I know all these players. Once you name it, just scramble. Okay, I said Tatum. Okay, we're on the East, right? Let me see. East.
Booker?
Oh, yeah, Devin Booker.
That's 10. You got 5 more. Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson. Who you got? James Harden, LeBron, Cade Cunningham, Franz Wagner. Who you want to take? Anthony Edwards? I think we lost you.
He had a crazy playoff run.
Sorry, I think you were cut out for a while. Anyways, there's a lot of great players.
I think when I left the app, I was looking at Anthony Edwards. Yeah, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Davis. Yeah, about that. But go ahead. What's your point?
My point is that right now,
you have me on there, man. I really like talking with you, man. I love you guys, man. I love this.
Cool. So what I'm saying is that every one of those players is a lot older than Scottie, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, Wemby and Anthony Edwards, right?
Yeah.
There
and
aren't
by
a
the
lot
way,
of...
I wouldn't be shocked if Scottie's a top 15 player by the time he's like 25, 26. Like, let's say 3 years from now when the Raptors are competitive.
I wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 15 player by next year. I honestly I had him as, like, I think 14th this year. I thought he was going to be the 14th best player in the league this year. So maybe I'm a little bit early. I'm always a little bit early with Scottie, but I do get there. Like, let's be for real now. When Scottie Barnes was drafted, what the hell were you hearing about him? You were hearing basically it's Patrick Williams all over again, right? You were hearing Draymond Green. You were hearing Ben Simmons. He has shattered those expectations.
Hey, do you remember? Do you remember when Raptors fans were crying? They took Scottie over Jalen Suggs. I remember the comments were like, "Oh my god!" Like on Twitter comments, like, "I can't believe like they took like." Look at it now, man. John Suggs is a good player. He is a good player, but he's obviously not Scottie.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. So, I mean, T-Dot's minus his comment said, never wrong, just early. That's Rob's slogan. That is my slogan. I mean, I am early. And you know what? I'm early by design. I want to be early. I want to be like, yo, like I get off on this shit. I love being able to point out my Dyson Daniels take when he was a rookie. I don't want to be talking about Dyson Daniels when he got to the Hawks. I want to be talking about Dyson Daniels when he was getting 4 minutes a game. You know what I mean? Anyways.
Trey Murphy cooked with that one too.
Pardon?
Trey Murphy, you cooked with that one.
Trey Murphy is great. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Trey Murphy is awesome. I would love to trade for Trey Murphy right now.
The Raptors can get like a wing score, like that would elevate Scottie's game so much. Absolutely.
So I mean, look, I mean, I have no real disagreeing with you other than the fact that you do come in the chat a lot and you do talk a lot about Cade versus Scottie, and I think maybe you're just more or less trying to understand where I'm at with this situation. You said that you don't really see that upside with Scottie until he develops a shoot, or, you know, it develops more of a shot and a bag. And I understand that the percentages are not inspiring. 27%. I'm looking more at like the sample that I've seen from him when he's trying to take the shots that he's comfortable with. Like when things are right with him and he's just a catch and shoot guy. Like last year when he was just a catch and shoot guy, he was shooting 40% for 3 months from three. 40%, 39.7, 39.8. I can take you through the splits. Like he was shooting 41, 42% to start the year last year. There was a stretch where he shot 50% for like 12, 13 games in a row. I mean, we've seen flashes of this, but this year he's been asked to take a lot of shit off the dribble. And if you've looked at Buddy Hield or even Klay Thompson or even Steph Curry's numbers, they're worse off the dribble. So you're putting a player who's already not a great shooter at all by anyone's definition into a position where he's taking the hardest shots that he's ever taken in his life. And oh, by the way, you got to create all the offense. And oh, by the way, you also got to be your team's anchor defensively. I don't think people give enough credit to Scottie Barnes for how much of his team's defense he has to anchor, how much work he has to do defensively. I would love to see Cade do that kind of work defensively and then go carry an offense.
Do you agree that Scottie elevates RJ? Because RJ, I'm sorry, but he doesn't move me, man. Like, I don't care what his stats say. Like, the
numbers are conclusive. RJ Barrett is like 8% more effective with Scottie Barnes on in playing. So yeah, he's definitely helping RJ. But I think RJ's a fine player. RJ's a really good player. He's a good young player. He's what, 24 years old right now? I mean, he's good for what he is.
I think the Raptors have to sell high. No, like if you tell me he's a Raptor by 2027, that's not good news in my opinion.
Sure. Anyways, man, any final thoughts?
Not much, man. I love watching you. I've been watching your show like the past week. I love you on the panel, man. Appreciate it, man. I'm not trying to troll. Like I don't want to come here and be an asshole. I just like talking ball, man. But that's cool. Agree with a lot of your stuff, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for letting me on here.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. All right, Okan, what's up? Is it Okan? It's Okan, right?
It's Okan, yeah. How are you doing?
Hey, I remember you. What's up?
Not much.
Help me out with something.
Yeah.
Am I finally pronouncing Schengen correctly?
It's like Schengen. Yeah, similar, yeah. It's as close as it can get.
As close as I can get without actually being Turkish. I asked my ex-girlfriend to send me a voice note because we were debating this on the panel. I don't know how much you watched the panel or if you watched the panel, but they were having this conversation.
I watch everything live, bro.
Nice. So they were like, there's like such a funny conversation where every time we talk about Alpi, there's like 4 different people talking about him, and we all have a different pronunciation of his last name. It's like Shengun, Sengun. Like I'm like, oh my god. So I asked my ex. I was like, yo, just send me a voice recording of how to actually say this. And I think she said it how you said it. Shengun. I'm gonna practice this. He's one of the best players in the league.
That letter is like U. Gun.
Shengun. Did I get it?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, fuck. I'm gonna work on this. Anyways, what's going on? What's good, man?
Not much. It's 5 a.m. 15 right now here in the Netherlands.
Nice.
And hearing you talking about sleep deprivation, is always a nice thing to hear, because sometimes I actually relate to you in terms of like thoughts about the team, like basketball in general. By the way, good luck for the Pendants Festival. I want to mention that as well.
Thank you so much.
Um,
Appreciate it, man.
I hope it will be an amazing event, and maybe one day, if I can find an opportunity to live in Toronto, I would like to come as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have some really great films from around the world this year, man, including a really beautiful one from Austria, great films from Japan. It's like we bring the whole world to Canada during the winter, and I just love it. Yeah, it's never gonna get old for me. I never stopped being a kid at Pendants. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I would really want to visit that one day if I have the chance. But yeah, I actually entered the chat to um, actually say almost the same stuff you just said in your last sentences with the previous caller. Like all these comparisons about Scottie and with these other young players, what I feel like is every player is improving something, but most of the time the players are improving the things that they were supposed to be good in the first place, the reasons they were drafted for. I mean, for Scottie, it's exactly the opposite, because Scottie is drafted as a good defender, as a good playmaker, as a intelligent player overall, and a hard worker. But he wasn't necessarily like the craziest scorer ever. But every season, you see something new added to his game, and it's not easy. Like you cannot just go out one off season and then you start hitting all these fade away mid ranges and the step backs or pull up 3 pointers. Of course, the efficiency will come one day, but like him just trying those things, just having the confidence to try those things, and sometimes hitting those things, and I think it's really impressive. I think it's really impressive, and it like people saying Cade improved a lot, or like Paulo improved a lot. I love Paulo, by the way. Cade, not necessarily, but like they already improved things that they were good on. Scottie is improving the things he is good on, but he's also improving things that he's not good on by a big margin, I would say.
I agree with you. Yeah, completely. I think having watched this kid for as long as I have, he is blowing my mind. Every year I'm seeing something and I'm like, I can't believe he just pulled that off. Like I was showing my girlfriend clips of Kevin Durant doing the same moves that Scottie's doing, or Kawhi doing the same moves, and she's like, if I squint my eyes, it's like the same player. Like when it goes right, obviously those players are completely different level of efficiency and repetitions and all that stuff. But Kawhi didn't get there overnight. He was
Yeah,
nurtured into that role. He was given a simplified role when he went to San Antonio, and he was allowed to grow into a finals player and an MVP. But yeah, I think Scottie's upside is so much higher than these other players, but I think the marketing is so much worse. And
the
you know,
pressure is also higher on him.
sure. Yeah, I think the pressure is high, but like he's built for this. Like he doesn't feel that pressure. Like it's kind of cool. Like
I think he
you
get
notice it like in certain moments, like okay, shooting poorly from three. I haven't seen him shy away from taking threes. He's still taking them
yeah.
with confidence.
I
He's
think
taking
he
them in
feeds off that
transition.
pressure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Feed off of it because, it's like there's sometimes the young player, another one of my friends, we were talking about child rearing the other day because she had a baby and he's like 18, 19 months old. So he's getting into that stage where he's like learning stuff now. And she's like, the thing that you want to do with young kids is you want to actually reward the effort as opposed to the result. You want to award the hard work as opposed to the good achievement because you want them to get addicted to that idea that if I work hard, it's all going to be okay. And with Scottie, whenever you bring up the percentages with him, he's like, they're going to fall. I'm putting in the work. So he has that belief that as long as he's in the gym and he's putting in the work, it's going to be fine. And that's the same belief that guided Shea. That's the same belief that guides Jokic. That's the same belief that guided Kobe and Michael. And frankly, any person who's ever been great at anything in life has been guided by the belief that as long as I keep chipping away at this, it's going to be fine. And the Raptors have had so many great players come in through this institution, from Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard and Marc Gasol, they have had a chance. And not just those levels of players, but also Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, guys who've been all-stars. This is a front office that is not new to basketball. They understand what becomes what. They're not stupid. So them trading away a lot of really, really good pieces to try and transition towards something great around this guy, it's because they see him every day. It's because they are seeing 100 million times more than any of us are seeing, and thousands of percent more than the media are seeing. They're having these conversations. They're watching the offseason workout. They're watching the practice habits. And what they're saying is what we see in this guy is something great enough to blow up something good. That to me is like, I'm not saying trust in Masai blindly. Of course, I've been very critical of Masai when I feel that it is required. But when it comes to Scottie, he's 100% right. He's been 100% right the whole way through, and he will remain 100% right until he is proven right by the whole world. I think Scottie's going to be great. Yeah.
I mean, I think the trust in Masai thing is not like blindly trust in Masai, but overall, I think he's like governing the brand, like the franchise, really well. Like I wouldn't say trust in every move he does, but whenever he does a move, I don't immediately say, "Oh, why did he do this?" But I just try to understand why he does that, and usually I can justify it. And in this draft, we also saw, like, with the terrible number of picks, like, we got ourselves amazing players, and that's not easy. That's not easy in a bad draft class as well. So I always want to, like, my first instinct is always to trust in Masai, but sometimes I get critical as well. But usually he proves that I'm wrong if I'm critical about him. So far, in my experience, because I've been a NBA fan since like 2019, so we won the championship the same season I started watching. That was nice.
Good luck. You're a good luck. You're a good luck charm.
Yeah, maybe that's why. But yeah, from then, of course, the tank seasons and stuff, it was painful to watch. But now that I see how the team improved after those seasons and what can happen, also especially after listening to your the trade podcast, I would say you just I think uploaded yesterday, maybe. Yeah, like I can see that there is like a lot of hope with all these young players, with Scottie leading the team, and like all these potential moves that we can make. We are really flexible right now. That's something that I like a lot. Like, some teams, they are just destined for the near future that they will not succeed. But us, anything can happen anytime. Like, one move can change everything, any direction. So I really like the place we are in right now because it gives me hope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful too. I mean, this is like, I think somebody said, I think Tony has said, we're playing with house money. And it does feel like it, right? Like, every season that we've ever been in, there's been like real consequences to every game, especially down the stretch. When we were, before we traded for Jakob Poeltl, it was every win was like a burn, It's like, shit, we need Wemby, right?
Mhm.
But then after we traded for Jakob Poeltl, every loss was like, oh, fuck, we need to make the playoffs. There was such a pressure with every game. Whereas right now, it's like the pressure is so off. We win, I'm like, it's great because we're winning with youth, and that means the young players are playing well. And if we lose, I'm like, great, we're one step closer to actually getting Cooper Flag. That's great. So I'm just like perfectly happy with it. Like, I'm just perfectly happy with it. I mean, no matter what happens with this season, there's no bad outcomes. The only bad outcome would be, oh, we mortgage like the future to get Jimmy Butler right now. I'd be like, oh shit, But like, other than that, like Brandon Ingram, I'm perfectly fine with it. Devin Booker, yeah, sure, go for it. The only thing okay, so here's my question to you. Based on watching this team, is there a player other than Scottie Barnes that you would be very disappointed to see traded at the trade deadline?
Oh yeah.
Who?
Well, I would start with Grady, Jacoby, Mogbo. I would be really disappointed. I really love Mogbo. Like, I absolutely love Mogbo. Who else? I mean, I will be disappointed with so many players, but as like I as the players that I would like to keep as untouchables are like basically these ones and Scottie, and the rest I think I can't talk about it. I can actually like if the deal is good, I can consider. I wouldn't say untouchable because I have learned not to get emotionally attached to players that much after OG was traded because he was my favorite player after Scottie. So yeah, I think besides Jacoby, Grady, and Mobo, um, yeah, other
Mark
players I
Tavares
can.
is saying Jacoby, Mobo, and Ochai along with Barnes. So no dick for Mars. Or sorry,
Oh,
Mark. My
that,
bad.
that,
I don't know why I just shouted out Mars Talk Sports.
that's
Okay. It's sad for Mars. No dick for Mars. Okay. I think Scottie would have had a better rookie season and early development if Lowry was still with the team, but instead we had Fred VanVleet, self-absorbed ego, non-development coach Nick Nurse. Yeah, I
that's the
mean,
past.
yeah, you're right. It is the past, and yeah, someone sent me a beautiful reel. Like, man, I love this community so much. The other day, I was like thinking about all the things I hadn't done properly going into Penn Dance this year, and someone sent me a reel. His name's William, often DMs, Pensare Basketball, and we sometimes exchange some notes and stuff. And he sent me this reel of this guy who's standing at Mount Fuji saying, "Don't regret the past. You're here. It's perfect. The present is perfect. Everything that's happening, So he's screaming and there's like loud music and terrible audio. And he's like, "Are you one of those people that's like, I should have married her? Don't be that person. You're an idiot." And I was like, man, I needed to hear that. So man, I'm deeply appreciative of this community. Like, this community has been better to me than I could have ever dreamt of. So thank you for being a part of that and for calling in. But also to the 340 people who are listening to this at damn near 12 o'clock at night. Thank you guys for that. So yeah.
Rob, when did you start making this content? Because I don't know exactly when I started following, but I remember you had like less than 600 subscribers.
So we put like 3 or 4 videos together in, I want to say 2022.
2022.
It might have been late 2021, but it was probably 2022, if I recall correctly. My memory's a little bit phasey these days because I haven't been sleeping and I'm overloaded with the pen and stuff. But it was probably 2021, end or early 2022. Put together 3-4 videos. I think there was a video, called like the Pensare Basketball trailer. We can actually pretty much check right now when our first video was. Anyways, and then we stopped making videos after like 4. I think we made 4 videos and then we just stopped. And I guess, I don't know, they weren't getting a lot of views. I mean, they got enough views. They got like 2,000 views, but we weren't monetized. There was no real path to monetization. And then I got offered, I was on other podcasts as well. And then one time I was offered a job with a pretty popular, Raptors outlet. And when I saw what they were paying, and I was just like, nah, I'm going to actually like go full force. So that's what ended up happening.
I'm actually proud like of the work and the success you achieved because like I see how hard you work for it as well. I see how passionate you are about this. I see how much knowledge you want to add to your community. So I really respect it.
This is the first video that we ever did. It's a minute long. It's called Pensare Basketball Official Launch Trailer. Have you ever seen it?
Probably I did, but years ago.
Okay. So this is a trip down memory lane
I
for
actually
everybody.
believe that I have watched all of your videos because like the Raptors game ends and I immediately enter YouTube and open your videos, and sometimes I go watch the past videos as well.
To Pensare Basketball. On this channel, we're going to have intelligent discussions about the sport of basketball, from breaking down game film, discussing analytics, and dissecting league-wide trends with a very strong focus on your Toronto Raptors. During the offseason, you can absolutely expect free agent and draft discussions. I love college hoops. I can't promise the highest end video essays, and I can't promise we'll always agree, but I can promise regular, well-researched, and smart content. My name's Robert Mishevich. I'm an ex-writer for the Bleacher Report who did a lot of work in radio in my early 20s,
and I've been watching basketball for nearly 25 years. As I found myself diving headfirst as both a director for Pensare Films and as a festival director for the Pendance Film Festival in my late 20s, I honestly found myself missing basketball. Watching the games and attending them simply wasn't enough. I've always wanted more and to do more, not only to help grow the game of basketball and how it's understood and talked about alongside thousands of others on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts. I mean, honestly, I just missed the game and I want something to do within the world of basketball. Within 2 years, I would like to see Pensare Basketball be your #1 source for Raptors content on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's get this channel off to a booming start.
I definitely watched this one. I remember.
Damn, that was trippy.
But
Because
you see, like the vision, the mission didn't change, and you actually like do the same thing still, and it proves that like your success is actually like justified, I think. And I hope it even grows more. I really hope so.
yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of writing for like over the last 2-3 years for some of your favorite podcasts and video content creators and stuff. I've been doing a lot of writing for people off the record, ghost writing. And every time I think about it and I show my girlfriend the video and she sees how well it's doing and it's got millions of views and she's just like, why don't you do this for yourself? And I'm just like, yeah, I shouldn't I? I have a basketball, channel. I could do this for myself. So now I'm thinking like maybe I turn Pensare Basketball, this channel, into Pensare Basketball Live and create a second channel called Pensare Basketball. Get 1,000+ people from here to go over there and then actually create like real strong documentary quality narrative content that I work on all year round and like turn that into like Jimmy High Roller level success. I don't know. I
actually
have
believe
big
that's
dreams.
a really good idea, and I also would like maybe suggest having a channel for like shorts maybe, because right now shorts are the like I think the cheat code of YouTube right now. It's like it's basically how all these podcasts get popular I think nowadays.
Yeah, I mean we've
But
done quite a few shorts,
but at the same time, like the content could be a bit different for the shorts, because I know that your goal is to usually give your viewers the knowledge. You actually want to add something to your community, so maybe you can use shorts as a method to gain attention, and then from those shorts you can like recommend to watch the full videos, and then there you can actually give some knowledge. I think that would be a really good idea.
Yeah, I think, before TikTok became all controversial for everybody, I think we were thinking about going on TikTok as well and doing short content there. Our short content on X and on Instagram has gotten a lot of views. Like there's videos that we have on YouTube with like 1.9 to 3 million views. But honestly, I'm never counting views. I'm most proud of certain videos that we've done, and they're usually just the videos that I worked the hardest on. That's how I view it. And actually, that's the funniest thing. I'm not like, there's this video that we did called Scottie and RJ Have a Beefy History. If I were to show people the 10 favorite videos in channel history, that wouldn't be one of them. And I don't even care that it got 250,000 views. It's not about the views. I think too often content creators, just in my opinion, talking to a lot of big content creators, I've talked to a lot of like really, like, you name a big content creator other than probably Jimmy High Roller and Kenny Beecham, I've probably talked to that person. And whenever I talk to them, it almost feels like the views dictate their feelings about their videos. So it's like if the video does well, they like it. If it doesn't do well, they don't do it anymore. And to me, it's not like that. Like if I'm really, really passionate and proud of a video and it only gets 400 likes, then it gets 400 likes. Or it gets 400 views, it gets 400 views, So yeah, that's sort of, because I feel like if you're a slave to the views, then you're a slave to the algorithm, right? And then,
yeah, that's true. Then you start to make your content based on what other people want to hear, but not what you actually want to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And that actually like I wouldn't say it ranges the quality of the content like a lot, but I would say that it doesn't reach to the crowd that you want to reach.
I think, you know, the crazy thing is we were having this talk about heat culture on the panel, and you know whether or not it's too rigid. And my thought process is you let people know who you are, and you'll find the right people for you. You know, if you let people know that we're not going to accept people coming in out of shape, then guess what? The people who are out of shape won't come. You know,
Yep.
we're not going to play selfish basketball. Like that's the important thing of culture. I think people sometimes over or understate the value of what it means to have a team culture. The Raptors are developing a culture as a super hardworking team that is very selfless, right? If I'm a really selfless player who works hard, I want to play on this team. And if I'm a selfish player that likes to dribble the basketball 500 times and dribble the air out of the basketball every game, I don't want to play on this team because I'm not going to do well on this team, and I'm going to stand out.
Yeah,
And I'm
you will
gonna get yelled
probably
at all
play
day.
for,
Exactly. So, and I mean,
I
like,
don't know,
if you think about
Trailblazers.
winning basketball, like, where does it start? Where does Spurs culture starts? It starts with Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan. It starts with that relationship. It starts with that unity, right? The marching orders have to come from the top. Like, your coach can scream all day. If your star player is not bought in, nothing works. Nothing works in the NBA when your star is not bought in to your coach.
Yeah,
That's why
that's
the Jimmy
why.
Butler saga is so difficult, because as good as Eric Spoelstra is, he cannot command a locker room where the star player is just disregarding everything he's saying. So with Scottie and Darko, like the reason that I'm so happy that relationship has been as fruitful as it's really been, and how it's been so great. Like every time Scottie talks about Darko, there's always an element of like he has to always mention how great a person he is. He always brings that up somehow. He's just like, he's a really great person. We really trust him. We really he has our back, you know. So that's just the way it is, I think, right now. And I think the way the Raptors play right now is very. I'm very proud of this team. I'm very proud of this team. They're a very competitive team.
I really love Darko since day one. I never stopped like supporting that guy. I mean, no matter how the team plays now and then, uh, I I can see how much like impact behind the scenes that Darko has on the players, like in terms of relationships, the team culture, the development in general. Like he just makes this team way more fun to watch on the court and also in terms of development. And like with Nick Nurse, it felt like okay, Nick Nurse could be a champion coach, but with a bad team, it's just harder to watch when with Nick Nurse. When you have a good team, okay, it's watchable. But with Darko, I mean, I know that right now we are building something and we are playing good basketball with happy players. And even if we are losing most of the time, I want to watch good basketball with hopeful players. That's the biggest, the most important thing for me. So
I agree.
even if we are not like contenders for the next 5 years, I would just want to see these players happy, these players playing the game the way they want to play, just giving us fans something to be happy about. Like because we already saw the tank seasons, and those were just painful to watch. They weren't leading to anywhere. They were just really painful. But right now, even if we are losing, like today we lost, but it was such a fun game to watch. We saw how the rookies, like 3 rookies, 1 second year, and Kelly Olynyk on the field, and then you get like 12 or something like that, like, making a comeback. It's just insanely fun to watch to me, and I really can't. I really can't. My English is not good right now. It's 6 a.m. So uh, complain. Yeah, I really can't complain about anything right now.
It's a good perspective, man. And I mean, I'm glad that we're such a grateful community. Honestly, like I could say, as much as sometimes people say like we don't like this player, we don't like that player. In general, I have found that we have like a really grateful perspective overall on the philosophy of basketball and the process of basketball, and that we're not necessarily as panicky as perhaps other communities. Not trying to do an us versus them situation, but I do listen and I do read a lot of Raptors comments and comment sections in general, and I just found myself really being thankful for the thoughtful discussions about process and team that happen in this community. That, in my opinion, if a Raptors assistant coach or a scout or one of their development staff guys or even one of their medical staff or one of their assistant coaches or even one of their front office people could come in on that conversation, I think they would be proud too. That we do care about the process, that we do care about the building blocks, that we do understand this is not going to be a straight shot to the playoffs, that there are steps here that you have to implement, that even with Scottie and Grady and Jacoby, that we're not going to live and die on the 2 for 12 performance and then hang them, on that one performance and say they're terrible, right? That just because the shot is not going in doesn't mean the person's not a good shooter. Even things of that nature, right? Like Jacoby and Grady have struggled with their 3-point shot, and there are people legitimately in Raptors Reddit and real GM communities, and even some people in the, Raptors Republic communities who are just like, maybe these guys aren't good shooters. And it's just like, I mean, are you going to use your eyes to study the numbers? You're going to use your eyes to study the shot. Like, you know what I mean? Like you watch them shoot and you think they're not a good shooter. It's like, that's really your issue, right? Anyways, any final thoughts, Okan?
You asked me a question, I answer. I wouldn't say anything else, I guess.
Question. Okay. Okay. Here's my question to you. It's going to be a good question.
All right.
Give me a one-word answer to what is your response if the news breaks Raptors are trading for Devin Booker.
One word response.
One word. You get one word.
Ananı sikeyim.
Okay, no, two words.
Turkish.
2 words. No, 2 words. You're gonna cheat. You're gonna use a really long Turkish word and then you're gonna translate it into like a whole sentence in English. Okay, 2 words. 2 words in English. That's the conversion. That's the conversion of our, our currency is in the shitter right now. So 1 Turkish word equals 2 English words right now. Okay, go.
Okay, I can say 1 Turkish word?
No, 2 English words.
2 English words. Okay.
Or you can say 1 Turkish word and we can all learn what that Turkish word means in English.
Okay, yeah. Has siktir.
Okay, please elaborate on what that is. And also, if you wouldn't mind, if you still have access to the chat, can you type it out just so we can see it?
Yeah, I will type it in the chat after I leave this talking thing. Has siktir is like basically when you're surprised by something a lot, you're like saying "oh fuck" in Turkish, but not exactly.
Okay, so you know what's funny? I thought your 2 English words were going to be "fuck yeah."
I mean, I would be fuck yeah if you didn't upload that video, but now I would be like, oh fuck, Rob was right.
Okay, got you. Okay, all right, man. Thanks a lot for calling in. Always appreciate talking to you. Thank you so much, man.
Too,
cheers.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Have a good day. We're all going to sleep. You're going to work. All right, peace.
No, I'm going to sleep, man. It's 6 a.m.
Oh, I appreciate you. I actually do remember being in Europe when we would visit Europe, and I'd be staying up at like 2 a.m. to watch my favorite team play basketball. So this is like really nuts.
I watch every game live, even tank season, man.
This is a real fan, y'all. Like there are people here who'd be like, "Oh my god, a 10 p.m. game. I don't want to stay up for that."
But
Grow
they
some
don't know
balls,
the struggle.
Canadians.
They don't
Come on,
know
man.
The struggle. Once you get used to watching it at 3 a.m., you're also fine watching it at 5 a.m.
Yeah. All right. Peace, man.
All right, man. See ya.
Have a good day. Bye. Okay, Sina, what's up?
What's happening, Rob? It's been a long time. How are you doing?
It's been a long time, man. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Just fostering a puppy, dealing with the wrecking things, but it's all
fostering a puppy. That's nice.
Yeah. How about you? How's everything with Penn Dance?
Penn Dance prep is a week and a half behind schedule, or a week behind schedule, depending on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to the filmmakers, I'm saying we're a week behind. But if I'm talking to you, I'm telling you we're a week and a half behind.
Yeah.
It's somewhere between 8 and 9 days. We have a lot to catch up on, and I'm just looking down at the barrel of like what I have to do this week, and I'm just like, oh my god, I might not sleep again for the next 4 days. Like I'm dead. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but I'm so excited about it because like there's 45, 50-ish filmmakers coming from all around the world. There's so many people coming. Like I can't wait. It's a very energizing event. Like you come and you just like wow, I can't believe these people did this. You know, there's multiple world premieres of films, so that's like super cool that, you know, like sitting in a theater. Like I don't know if you have like a great deal of appreciation for art, but
Mm.
like I can't even imagine the. I remember this was in 2019, and there was a film called To the Night with Caleb Landry Jones,
Mm.
and it was coming to Canada for the first time. And I watched it in a theater as a part of a DCP test, like a digital cinema package test. And I'm sitting there, and I was sitting next to the theater projectionist, and he looked over me, and I had like a tear in my eye, and he's like, "Why? What's wrong?" Like he thought he was doing something wrong, and that I was so upset with him doing his job. And I'm like, I don't think you understand how big the world is and how big this country is. That the idea that this amazing film is coming to our festival is so humbling and so crazy to me. So yeah, so it's amazing to think that how big the world is, that this amazing film is coming to Pendance for the first time in the world, and those people in that audience will be the first people in the whole world to see it. Like that's so crazy to me. It's so wild. Like small festivals, or you know, festivals other than TIFF and Sundance, they rarely get good world premieres, man. It's so wild to me. So yeah, I'm excited. Anyways, talk to me about hoops.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, congrats on all your success, man. I'm
Appreciate
so
you.
happy to hear that. Yeah, I mean, this was like I've only watched the second half of this game. I haven't been able to watch too many games lately, but I love the continuity of the Raps right now. Like, you know, I can see like their chemistry is getting better. You know, this is just only like a few key things that I observed from the game. And I just think, man, I like credit to Darko, man. I don't know what some people I talk about Raptors hoops, and some of them are like, I don't know what kind of coach, you know, or he's not a good coach, or like I don't really get the slander. Like this guy is just like fuck. If I was in the NBA, I would wish he was my coach, man. Like damn, like I don't know. I just like I love his vibe. I love his like his enthusiasm and just getting his players going and getting the best out of his players. I think is amazing.
Have you heard Devin Booker talking about Darko?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that interview. Like, I don't know if it was. I think it was like last year, right? Like when they played it at the home game against.
Yeah,
Phoenix?
I'm gonna play that like 20-second clip just for
Yeah,
anyone
yeah.
who doesn't know it. Hang on one sec.
Yeah.
Here's the clip.
You know, somebody
Yeah.
It meant a lot, and you know, I know they say about players usually underrated. I'd say that somebody that people didn't know much about probably until he got this head coaching job. But you know, somebody even when he was in Memphis and he got the job in Memphis, I was like, damn, I wish we still had Darko. You know, so I love having him. It meant a lot.
Yeah, so to anyone who didn't catch the sort of, it was a kind of terrible audio. He said when he got the job in Memphis, I was like, I wish we still had him around. And he called him a super underrated. He said, yeah. So effectively, Devin Booker's a really big fan. And you know, you tend to find out a lot about people like after they've worked with people, and the people that have worked with them in the past have really nothing to gain by talking well about them. Like Devin Booker had nothing to gain. He was an assistant coach. It's not like you're asking about a guy who coached him in high school. You're not asking about a guy who was his head coach. You're talking about a random assistant coach. He could be like, he was great. I wish well on him. But whether it was Mikal Bridges, whether it was Desmond Bane, whether it's this guy, you know, Devin Booker, whether it is the handful of players that I spoke to who he coached overseas, I've never heard anyone have a passionless response about how they feel about Darko Rajakovic. And I feel like the Raptors probably sensed that as well when they were hiring him. They were just like, how come everyone who comes into contact with this person keeps talking about how wonderful he is? The Golden State Warriors used to talk about something called the Jama effect.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to just say like there was an effect of Jama in the building. So basically I asked someone once, what is the Jama effect? And they said, you know, it's like when he's in your practice, you're about 10 to 15% happier.
Yeah.
That's just who he is.
Yeah.
He has this incredibly positive demeanor about him that makes everything okay. Even after a loss, somehow Jama Malalela being there makes that loss better. Him being on your bus makes the bus ride better. Him being at dinner makes the dinner better. There are people like this in the world that just light up rooms. They have charisma. They have a lightness, a wisdom, and a goodness to them that just that soothes you. And frankly, there are people that are just shitty and they make everything 15% worse. And there are people like that too.
The Nick
And
Nurse effect.
perhaps, yeah. I mean, like I find it difficult to not watch Nick Nurse on the news or you know in an interview and not just
Mhm.
feel like 10% worse about everything. He's just so heavy.
Mhm.
He's just weirdly heavy. He's
I noticed that
just,
too. Yeah.
yeah. So that has a wearing effect. I mean, if you're looking at what happened with the Raptors in his last year here, if you're looking at what happened with the Sixers right now, these are not teams that feel light. These are teams that feel like they have a dark cloud ready to pour a monsoon on them every single game, and that is part of it. And like attracts like. So you know, if you're someone who's fun to work with, then people like Jamal Layla and Simovic, people like this are actually going to want to come work here, right? And who knows who else, right? Like maybe if you do get a Devin Booker or something like that, or you do get a second star, or you draft a Cooper Flag, maybe now you can attract an even better assistant coach, and now you can build out the coaching staff. So I don't know. I'm very happy with the coaching staff. I cannot speak enough about the development of these rookies, man. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Well said. But so the trade was Booker, Robinson, and Alec Burks, and then Phoenix gets Jimmy and first round picks, and then Miami gets who did Miami get again? What was it again?
I'll flash the trade on the
Yeah.
screen for you. Hang on one second. So this was my proposed trade from the live earlier. I'm going to remove the comment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So quickly Barrett and Abaji. Okay. Got it.
So, I mean, again, to reiterate my rationale for this, pretty simple. Devin Booker is the best player in this deal, the best asset in this deal. Typically, to get the best asset in a deal, you have to take on a little bit of pain, and that pain includes parting with a first round pick, parting with 3 young assets, and taking on Duncan Robinson's contract. It's worth noting that Devin Booker is having like the worst year he's had in 4 years. So, you know, you are buying on risk here that he is literally regressing in front of our eyes. But I don't think he's regressing. I just think he's in a terrible situation. And I feel like being in this situation will reinvigorate something in him. But, you know, who knows? Who knows? You know, maybe like I was swearing that certain players weren't like declining. And then, you know, you just saw it and you're like, shit, I didn't catch it. Like they really were about to decline. You know,
I don't think they can pass that up, man. Like if Phoenix is calling and if they can orchestrate that trade, I don't think the Raps can say no. Like, I mean, even like, I correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I'm not saying that like quickly is damaging like team chemistry, but I just like, well, obviously his rhythm is off. I can tell, but
yeah,
you know, like he's gonna get it back eventually. I don't know, man. I would just rather call me crazy, but like I would just like let the boys ride it out and start Jamal Shead right now. Like my personal opinion. I know I'm crazy when I say that, but like I don't know. I saw his play, man. Like I love his defense, and it's like it's so hard like not to like recognize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Some people would think I'm wrong, but I mean, not to discredit what Quickly brings. I think he brings like he's a huge offensive weapon. It's just that like you just can't really like can't rely on him to be healthy. Unfortunately.
Well, I think he's been relatively healthy through most of his career, so I do think that this year would be considered a massive outlier. Now you could say, well, maybe he's a smallish guard who's about to break down. I've stood next to him Quickly. He's not that small. He's like a legit 6'3". He's lanky as hell. He's like probably got 6'8", 6'9" wingspan. He is like, I get the vision, and I 100% understand why the Raptors signed him for the contract they signed him for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There is a version of this that ends up pretty badly for the Raptors, where maybe he doesn't live up to the contract entirely.
Right.
But I trust Emmanuel Quickly to get better. Like I trust him to get better, and I think he is getting better. The problem is that everything in the NBA, from offense to defense, and frankly anything in basketball from offense to defense, is just working within the context of team and structure. Pieces around you impact so much. Your role impacts so much how well you're going to perform. See, like last year, Scottie was like, if you remember, again, we use box plus minus and EPM often to measure impact on the box score, right? But impact on the box score is context deficient. Like how do you measure? How do you compare the impact that Rudy Gobert has to the impact that Devin Booker has?
Mm.
There aren't a lot of analytics that would tell you in his prime that Rudy Gobert is a worse player than Devin Booker. But when you watch them play, you're like, I would rather have Devin Booker. So
Mm.
it's kind of a weird situation. But really, like when you're trying to remove the context of the team and just isolate the individual and say, well, this player is a problem, or I prefer this player over this player, or this player is better than this player. It's really difficult without the context of what's around them. And I just think what's around Quickly right now is not really great for Quickly. Like,
Mm.
I see this guy as someone who needs space, like a
Mm.
lot of space to operate. His handle is good. It's not
Mm.
great. His shift and burst right now is not perfect. His timing is not perfect. He's struggling with his jump shooting all year. He's been sort of struggling with that jump shot, and he's been a lights out shooter for a long time. So this is not something that just goes away. But he is coming off a very serious elbow injury, right?
Right.
So
Right.
when a player like this is somehow not being guarded as a lights out shooter and they're not going, like some of those performances we saw last year, like I don't know, 28, 10, and 11, those types of games. Even the first performance he had when he came back from that first injury and everyone was gassing him up where he had 15 assists. Yo, like this is exactly what he struggled to do in New York. Be a lead initiator, be a point guard. They
Mhm.
tried to make him into one in New York. It didn't work.
Yeah.
And the Raptors are retrying with different textbooks,
Mhm.
different personnel. And I would say some of the pieces around him make it really difficult for him to do his job. I'm not blaming anybody for Emmanuel Quickley's struggles. Emmanuel Quickley's struggles are definitely his own. He can do a lot to help himself out. I just think that if you put him in a better context, I think a lot of his gifts will shine more. But I certainly have no problem keeping him. Like I'm perfectly cool with Emmanuel Quickley. I don't feel about IQ the way I feel Jack Armstrong talks about IQ. Like I'm cool with IQ. I like IQ a lot.
I got a question for you. So, what was my question? Okay, yeah. So let's just say in a perfect world, we didn't have to give up Quickly, right? And we had D-Book. Let's just say if the Raps added Brown or something like that in the deal, for like hypothetically, right? If IQ is still on the team, how would you still keep him at point guard, or would you rather him play shooting guard?
Who would play point guard instead? Book?
Scottie.
Oh. Well, here's the thing. I don't really view Emmanuel Quickley as a point guard. I view him as a guard.
Yeah.
So I've never really saw him as a point guard. That's why I found the entire narrative around Emmanuel Quickley. And I really hope that, the worst part about this is none of the people who say anything ever have any accountability for what they say. The people who were gassing him up as like the best pure point guard since Magic Johnson, basically, when he came back and said, "Oh, look how good the Raptors look because they finally have a point guard, and what a gift it is to have Emmanuel Quickley back one fucking game," because they wanted to use that moment to kind of shit on Scottie Barnes and the job he'd been doing as a point guard because the Raptors getting blown out. And it's just like, where are those people now? Where are those people? Emmanuel Quickley's not a pure point guard. He is a guy who can play guard. He can play both guard positions. He's probably best when he doesn't have to make 150 decisions a game.
Right.
It's probably best to have him operating in an off-ball role with Scottie Barnes and having them being able to. He's a pretty decent screener,
Yeah.
And so him being able to run two-man action with Scottie can be really interesting. And I think he has enough dynamic shift and burst and shot making in his repertoire to really justify that contract next to Scottie. I think the fit between those two is really good. I think where it gets complicated is when he's being tasked as your point of attack defender on one end, and he's really not getting a lot of rim protection behind him or competent wings to really sit in the gaps. Like he can be a part of a really good defense as he's shown in New York. I don't think he can be the leader of a great defense. I don't think he can lead a defense the way Scottie or Davion can. Right.
Yeah.
So you really do need to put him next to better defenders. Like you need to put him, like if you're going to put him, like the one fit that I saw for Emmanuel Quickley, which I think would have taken Emmanuel Quickley from what he was in New York. And this was me looking at it before he got traded to the Raptors. My thought was when I heard the Knicks were not going to give him more than 15, 20 million, my first thought was, this is San Antonio's point guard of the future. This guy is going to thrive in San Antonio. Just wait. And I feel like the Knicks saw that coming, and they were just like, okay, let's just trade him, because San Antonio would have 100%. Emmanuel Quigley is 100% a San Antonio type of player, and they would have probably 26, 27, 28, $30 million. So, and that's no state income tax. So, you know, kudos on that for Emmanuel Quigley. And I feel like he would have paired so well with Victor Wembanyama, because he would have gotten buckets upon buckets off of him. And now that job is going to be De'Aaron Fox's. And I think Fox is going to look even better with Wemby.
Yeah.
But Fox is comparable. Like, I feel like marketing around Emmanuel Quigley and De'Aaron Fox is so different. Their games are so different. Maybe the talent level is a little bit different. But Fox is also older.
True. Yeah.
I think
Quigley's a winner, man. Like he's a smart player. Like
he really is.
Kudos to him.
He's a proud dude. You know, like oftentimes when someone signs a big contract, especially a 5-year contract, and they suddenly start to fall off a little bit, you really do start to have like some trepidation among a fan base. Like, did we just get Jerome Jamed? Did we just get duped? Did we just get fucked? Like, did this guy just have a contract year bump, and then now we're never going to see that player again? I'd trust Emmanuel Quigley to be good more than I trust myself to be good. Like, whatever this guy is made of, it's like, it's solid stuff. He comes from good people. He always surrounds himself with good people. I happen to know a lot about him. Just like there's certain players on this team that I know a lot about them off the court. IQ, Jacoby, Ulrich, Scottie. There's a few. And the people, there's others too. I don't want to really get into, but like, yeah, with Emmanuel Quigley, like I feel it from his process, how he approached this season, how hard he worked after he signed that contract, how insanely he pursued even improvement after he signed that contract. Like, there was no incentive. Like, once you sign the contract, it's inked. Like, it can't be reviewed. You're not going to get out of it. And he worked even harder after he signed that contract. I just think he's had such a start to this season. Injury. And some of them are freak injuries. Like, he can't control what happened with Darius Garland. Like, that wasn't his fault, right? It's not like he got out of bed and stubbed his, and twisted his ankle. Like, that was a freak injury. So I look at those injuries and I'm just like, man, like those types of injuries, they disrupt your rhythm. Then you need 5-6 games to get back into shooting properly, get your timing back. Now you're in a minutes restriction, totally disrupts your flow, because you need 2-3 minutes to just kind of jog up and down the court to start feeling yourself. And then boom, you're getting taken out, right? It's really weird. Like, his context right now is really weird. So if the Raptors were looking to trade him, they're doing a horrible job of exhibiting him.
Right.
But I think people know who he is at this point. I think people around the league can understand this season is an outlier, that he's going to be fine.
They have to, man. His potential is starting to get untapped, and he's gonna put the league on notice at least by next season. You just gotta get you're right. You just gotta give it time. I hope he's a Raptor for a long time. Honestly.
Absolutely. But I mean, like, I hear what you're saying. About Jamal Shead, and maybe like sometimes the team just looks a little bit more organized with him because he just plays with such force, and he's constantly reckless, and he's such a pinball. And he really does remind me of Kyle Lowry, like, so often. Like, every time I'm watching him, I'm like, squint. I'm like, that's Kyle Lowry. Like, he has like 10 plays a game where I'm just like, that's 100% Kyle Lowry would do, So it's a great problem to have. If your 45th overall pick is pushing your $32 million guy, that's a great problem to have, So yeah, I mean, the good thing is they're both Raptors.
I want to be wrong, though. You know what I mean? Like, at the same time, I want to be wrong because I still believe what IQ can do. So I have my thoughts on it. I do like Shead, obviously, but I do want to be wrong. Because I don't think Quick is that bad of a defender either. You know what I mean? He's a good screener, and he's like a pretty decent defender. He's not like terrible. So
he's a good team defender. He's not the greatest, like he's
on
okay point of attack. He's okay navigating screens, but he's not the greatest at it. He's not gonna like put that kind of physical pressure on you. And I feel like if he gets even a little bit stronger, like I think he got a little bit stronger this year. I think he needs to take one more step to get stronger and get really committed on that end. And I think he just needs to sort of find the flow and balance between being on ball and off ball. And I think if you did get a Devin Booker, that would really solve that problem. Because now it's like yeah, you know exactly where you are right now in the offense, and you're definitely the third option. Whereas sometimes it feels like he can start to feel like he's the first option sometimes, and that's where things kind of go off a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think he will buy into this concept. We've seen plenty of good things from Emmanuel quickly last year, and I think I'm gonna toss the season as an outlier for him, and hopefully we'll be back at it this summer. And he has a really great relationship with Scottie, and he's got like a quiet leadership to him. He's very
Right.
supportive of his teammates. I've never heard anything disparaging about him. His teammates really embrace him. So
No, for
yeah,
sure.
I mean, I've heard people on Twitter saying like, "Oh, the Raptors play worse when he's back." The first time they lost was against Chicago, which, by the way, like the Chicago Bulls just beat, the Miami Heat tonight. So clearly they're not free fall. But the first time they lost to Chicago, they're just like, "See, the team just doesn't try because Manuel quickly comes back because he's not this and he's not that." And I'm just like, "Oh my god, like where do people get this stuff?" No, like the team loves Manuel quickly, man. Yeah,
Oh, seriously.
yeah.
Seriously.
Anyways, Sina, any final thoughts? And am I saying your name correct?
Yes, yeah. You're spot on.
Perfect.
Final question. I was watching what was it? Amateur Hour Sports, and his latest video, and he was saying that like somehow because Lakers are looking for a center, and then Jakob Poeltl's name came in. Like, do you like? I don't think he will, but do you think that, like, if let's just say if Lakers came in and was like, okay, we'll give you like Dalton Connect or like Reeves or something like that, and then add Koloko in the deal, would you take that deal?
It wouldn't take me that much, man. First of
Yeah.
all, the Lakers are not trading Austin Reeves for Jakob Poeltl. They
Yeah.
feel way too strongly about that dude.
Yeah.
There are some big believers for Austin Reeves, and regardless of how, like, I feel like it's important before we talk about trades to understand how teams feel about their players. Like,
Right.
I'm pretty sure, like, there's some Charlotte fan who's just like, I wonder if the Raptors would give up Jacoby Walter for a couple second-round picks, and we're just like, fuck the hell off. I'm not giving, like
Yeah.
it's good to understand how teams feel about their players. So they love Austin Reeves,
Yeah.
and they want to keep him. Dalton Connect could be available.
Right.
Dalton Connect, for a package around Dalton Connect for Jakob Poeltl is interesting. The only pushback I have on that is, how good a player do you actually think Dalton Connect is, and who is he really replacing right now? You have RJ Barrett, Scottie Barnes, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, Jamison Battle, Ochai Agbaji. That's 6, right? That's
Right.
6 players who play roughly 2 positions. Now,
Right.
you can get cute with it and say Scottie's a point guard, and Ochai is a small ball 4, and RJ is occasionally a 3-4. But the
Mhm.
truth is, you're small. You're
Right.
small on a team like on a game like tonight. You were smaller than the other team, and frankly, they killed you for it. You shot better than them from the field, better than them from 3, and you still lost the game because they out rebounded you because you were smaller. They consistently played 2 7-footers, and you didn't have any size. So the truth is, the Raptors play smaller than they need to. They have small guards, they have small wings. They're small, and frankly, their biggest player that they could probably put as a big wing or a big guard, which is Scottie Barnes, they often have him playing 4 or 5. So when I look at that, I'm just like, Dalton Connect is not really helping me on that front. And I wonder how much overlap there is. So I would look at finding a third team for Dalton Connect in that situation, a third team that really, really wants him. And I
Mhm.
would try to maybe take a first-round pick from the Lakers,
Mhm.
salary filler like Gabe Vincent,
Mhm.
Dalton Connect, and then I would try to shuttle Dalton Connect over to a third team and hopefully get a young big man.
That's an interesting take. No,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
It's not like I'm saying like, oh, Ochai and RJ and Grady are so great that you can't take on. It's just like redundancy is different than actual elevation. Like, if you are going to tell me that you can get a Jabari Smith, we can have a different conversation because that dude's an actual 3-4. He's got some size. He plays defense. You don't have anything like him on your roster. I could really see him fitting with the core. So with Dalton Connect, he's 23 years old, and I feel like some people think he's better than Grady right now, but I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take 2 Dalton Connects over Grady.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at right now with Dalton and Jacoby and Grady.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, I have 3 players, and right now, At least Jacoby projects to be a really good defender down the line, but none of them can defend their shadow right now at the highest level. So, and they're all going to make a lot of mistakes. And it's just like, I also got Jonathan Mobo here, who I'm trying to develop into a 3. It's like, where's Dalton Connect fitting in this? No, I want to take 3 wings and I want to turn it into a center, or I want to turn it into a power forward. That's what I would like to do, so I can stop getting Ochai and RJ and Scottie playing at the 4, so I can get big. Size is back. If we look at the teams that are consistently in the NBA Finals, they almost all have multiple 7-footers, almost every single time. Jokic, Giannis, Brook Lopez, like this. Other than Draymond Green, basically, being the offhand here. Even when the Lakers won, what did they do? They spammed JaVale McGee. I think it was JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, and Anthony Davis at the front court with LeBron James as a gigantic 3. Like, those are big teams. Even last year with the Dallas Mavericks, PJ Washington, Luka Doncic, plus Daniel Gafford, plus Derek Lively. Like, I mean, they're a big team. Like, size matters in the league. Like, size is good. And the Raptors are just a small team this year.
It's interesting to think about, for sure. No,
yeah.
No, I'm gonna ponder on that for a while. But anyways, final thoughts. Just talking Raptors hoops with one of my favorite podcasters. So,
that's very nice of you to say, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no, keep killing it, bro.
Have a good night. Peace.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Ashley saying Penn brought it up as a possibility. I'm very skeptical about giving up our youth with so much development. Well, I hear you. And, if it was a complete no-brainer, it would never get done. So, okay, we're going to go to the Raptors post-game interview. Hopefully, no copyrights will be issued on this, but, I'm going to try. Maybe I should cover the screen. Would that help? I just don't want to risk it with the trade deadline coming up. I just don't want to risk it.
Darko, what do you think of the way your guys played in the last quarter and a half? They looked really, really good with that young group.
I'm really, to be honest with you, I'm really proud how we.
I love how Doug Smith approaches every single question like a person who just sort of read about the game but didn't really watch the game. That young group in the end there.
Kept our composure during the whole game. We opened the game great. We won the first quarter. Second quarter, we turned the ball over quite a bit. We allowed them second chance points. At halftime, it was 18-0 at the second chance points. We did much better in the second half. I do think that our aggressiveness and on the ball kept wearing down on them. Down the stretch, we kept them in the fourth quarter down to 23 points. And it really came down to wire. A big time play by Brunson, making that 3 in front of our bench. I'm really proud of the effort of my team.
Jamal seemed like he had some points early on, but it was sort of a rough stretch overall, and he was such a big factor in the second half. You've spoken a lot about how the rookies, they're not scared of the moment. What have you seen from Jamal in particular and those guys in general that have allowed them to keep going through deficits like that?
Yes. What I'm seeing with Jamal is that he's really embracing the moment and he's learning the pace of the game. He's doing much better job now than start of the year of playing with more pace and pushing the ball and trying to touch the paint early in a shot clock. And he's been doing a really, really good job with that. Defensively, at the same time, he does a lot for us. He's picking up full court. He's playing really aggressive defense. He was disruptive in the second half, especially after quickly he had to finish his game for tonight with minute restriction. I thought that he did a great job of keeping the composure, getting team organized, and I thought that he did a really good job.
What do you think Jonathan was able to get from his G League stints over the last month, and how happy were you to see him out there and implementing some of that stuff tonight?
Really happy. You could see how aggressive he was on defense. He did a great job of using his length. He ended up guarding the Towns down the stretch on very important possessions. I thought that he did a really good job, and all of that is thanks to great experience he had with 905.
Scottie's been working on that mid-range shot over the course of the last month, and he's hitting a career high. But tonight it felt like some of them were off kilter and a little bit off. When you're trying to balance that plus the driving and post game, what are you telling him to kind of create that balance for himself offensively?
I'm telling him to be aggressive, to trust his instincts, and we're always going back and forth. What are the situations that he could actually go to all the way to the rim, and what are the good reads for him to take those shots? And it's really at this point, it's not really is he making or missing those shots, but how he's going to create those shots and what it does to our offense. And we cannot allow that it's happening early in the shot clock. Sometimes that might kill a little bit of the flow of the team. I thought the second half he did an outstanding job of getting to his spots, of touching the paint, of playmaking, of finishing at the rim. I think that he made really good adjustments by the halftime.
Do you have an update on Yak?
Yes, he's been dealing for a stretch of games over here with hip pointer. We were able to manage it, and he played through some pain. But tonight he was not himself in the first half. He could not move well. He got hit again in the same position, in the same spot there. So he was not able to continue the game.
So we just out there, 3 rookies and Grady and Scottie, very young group. Was it fun to close game with them?
Yeah, first I just want to give thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ just for allowing me to go out there and play. But yeah, just having that opportunity to play a bunch of young guys, that just shows the maturity that we have and what we want for the future, you know. Just having games like this early, I know in the future we're going to be ready for times like that.
What have you seen from Jamal? What was it like tonight?
Jamal had a great game. He definitely brought great energy off the bench today. We know what he's capable of doing. He was running the show, executing, making the right plays, playing hard. So, you know, it's always a joy to play with Jamal on the court.
Jacoby, you're getting more run now. You started tonight with the Knicks, but you had a lot of opportunity with the 905 for the last couple of months. What did that do to kind of build your confidence up to see what you could get on this stage?
Yeah, just putting just having the ball in my hands a little bit more, and just kind of being able to be a leader, just bringing my confidence up for times like this. When people like Scottie or Grady or whoever just trust me with the ball in my hands, it just playing with 905 definitely helped me work on my skills and just to help the game slow down for me.
I think. Go ahead, Greg.
Just kind of defensive intensity you're playing with,
just to help the game slow down.
To your offensive game.
Yeah, it starts on defense for me. You know, I think that's something that I can always bring no matter what I'm doing on offense. I can always bring energy, rebounding, just active hands. And, yeah, so just being able to play defensively, getting stops, it always just kind of.
Good suggestion by She-Wolf to repeatedly pause and perhaps change the aspect ratio a little bit so it doesn't do that thing that we definitely don't want a 90-day strike to watch something that's easily available on Raptors.com. But yeah, I hope that something like this, I mean, it's never really happened before with these post games. It's usually just like they issue a copyright warning and then I have to clip it out afterward and it just kills the live chat. But you're right. You're right. The NBA is cracking down on stuff. So let me pause a little bit and yeah, go right back to Jacoby.
Kind of pulls over, just gives you joy and excitement on the offensive end.
What is it like mentally, even to, 1 week you're in the G League and another week you're starting for the Raptors and playing against the Knicks? What is that adjustment mentally for you to take those steps?
Just being where I am. Not really looking forward to anything. Just if I'm playing with 905, then I'm focused on 905. If I'm playing up here, I'm playing up here. So mentally, it's not hard or anything. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Sorry, go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, do you feel like there's anything that's translating the most for you right now for what you're taking from the 905 to?
Yeah, just seeing the ball go in the hole. With 905, I've been able to knock down my shots, and I think that's kind of carrying over.
It's also important to look at his hand and how it's taped up. Sorry, I'm just trying to offer critique.
He started the game, I think, pressing Bridges on the first play of the game. You guys had 8 assists in the first half. You got in with 27, so that's 19 in the second half. I know Darko will keep on looking for areas to get better. But how much closer do you think you guys are getting to playing the way that he's preaching?
Yeah, I definitely think everybody's been able to see it just watching our games, how everybody's starting to really buy in and play as a team defensively and offensively. Like you were saying, Grady starting off the game, that's something that we always been working on since the beginning of the year, ball pressure. And that's something that he's grown in for sure. Just to see Grady do it at the beginning of the game, that already gives us life. And then, just moving the ball, like you were saying, 8 assists the first half. But second half, we came out there, we wanted to move the ball more, just share the ball, knock down shots, and just play defensively.
You've spent a lot of time with Jonathan over the last month at this level and then with the G League team. Where have you seen the areas of growth in his game?
I think Jonathan Mobo has been fantastic in the G League. For those of you who've been watching the 905, salute to you. I often frequent the 905 chats as the 905 games are going on, and I see a lot of Jacoby fans and a lot of Mobo fans. And my goal coming into this season, honestly, like I stated this to Jacoby's trainer, I stated this to a lot of people, that my goal was to make sure that by the end of this season, that as understated, as underwhelming as this draft class was reportedly, that I wanted to make sure that the entire world knew the names of Jacoby Walter, Jonathan Mobo, Ulrich Shamshi, Jamison Battle, right? I wanted to make sure that they knew who these guys were. I wanted them to know Jamal, Shead. I wanted them to know their story. And so I made it a goal this season to make sure that I covered the 905 as well as I could. Now, obviously, I haven't done as great a job as I wanted to do because I just don't think that our 905 post games were as successful as I was really hoping they would be, because I don't think enough people are really watching the product. But it's been a good product. They're a really good team. And they have shown some incredible stuff. And if you've watched Jacoby at the 905 level, if you've watched Jonathan Mobo at the 905 level, you can absolutely see what he's talking about. Like, it is translating. It is coming over for sure.
We always tell him to be aggressive. Just the length that he has, the strength, and then what he's capable of doing naturally. We just tell him to be aggressive, and that's what he showed today. He was getting to the paint, making the right reads. He was rebounding, and defensively, with his length, he was getting a lot of deflections and steals.
Just to follow on Savannah's questions about Raptors 905, Darko always says that 905 and this team are one team, and he doesn't like say like moving up or down.
Yeah.
As a player, how does it feel like one team?
It just feels like one team because we do the same things. We preach the same things. Playing up here, we preach ball pressure. You go down there, it's the exact same thing. They expect the same thing out of you. And if you're not doing that, then they're going to tell you about it. So I think just knowing that if we play with the Raptors or with 905, that we're going to be held to the same standard, I think that's what brings us together.
I think it's such an understated thing that the Raptors do this, and they've been doing this for a long time. And this is one of those institutional knowledge things that I say, like sometimes winning organizations develop a particular strategy that has worked for them over the years. This is something that has worked for the Raptors over the years, and now they actually have the personnel to execute some of the stuff that they're doing. And so, you'll notice that they brought in Frank Kaminsky. Well, Frank Kaminsky is like your, very, very, very poor man's Jakob Poeltl, Kelly Olynyk type of player, right? If you can learn how to play with Frank Kaminsky, you can learn how to play with Yak. You can learn how to play with Kelly. It's not too different, right? Ulrich is really the one outlier because there's nothing like him anywhere on this organization. He is like a complete one of one when it comes to rim protection, when it comes to athleticism, running the paint, when it comes to shot blocking, defense, switchability. He is really unique. There's nothing like him on the Toronto Raptors right now. And I would say it's your biggest weakness. You don't have an Ulrich Shamshi. A 21-year-old Ulrich would be the difference between 16 wins and 21 wins for a team that so desperately needs that type of athleticism, vertical lob threats. Like, you see Scottie Barnes and the number of times this guy is able to pull a second defender out of the paint, especially in the mid-range, right? I want to actually get into this right after as my final point of the night, but yeah.
How are you feeling?
Hey.
Better, a lot better. Yeah, I feel a lot better.
Darko was just saying that he thinks you're.
You want to know, like, man, this guy has been the cover of our Twitter page on the wallpaper. Like every Twitter page has a background. like they say, a cover photo for your Twitter profile. He's been the cover of our Twitter profile for the entire year, and I don't think it's going to change. And it's because he is who he is, man. Like, this is the type of person that every organization wishes that they find in the second round. Like, when you think of second round steals and second round gems or undrafted gems, you think of, like, I hope we can find a guy like Jamal Shead. Winner, never complains, always smiling, always helping everybody. He is like the perfect, he's the perfect pro. He's such a pro's pro.
Your ability to handle the speed and be used to the speed of the NBA is getting better. Is it fair assessment?
Yeah, especially from the beginning of the season. You know, they want me to play fast, but not be out of control. But I think it's gotten a lot better since the beginning of the season.
How is that? What do you mean in control?
You know, just the pace of the game. When I push the ball, you know, we emphasize getting the ball down in the first 3 seconds. So I'm just pushing the pace, making a read out of that, and you know, everything that comes with just playing fast.
You found Grady in the corner, and then you had that kind of open 3 look for yourself, but you passed out of it to Grady. What's that? RJ's yelling at you to take that shot. You pass there.
There's always just thinking basketball. Grady's a better shooter than me, and he just made one. So, you know, get the hot hand involved and always get it back to him. So, you know, RJ's going to rip me for that, but Grady was hot, so I had to get the ball back to him.
How have these kind of experiences you've had playing in this last stretch of pretty competitive games, playing longer minutes sometimes with starters, etc., how's it kind of accelerated your progress, would you say?
It's really helpful. You know, game experience is second to none. Just being out there, being able to guard people like Jalen Brunson, those 2 games in Atlanta versus Trey, like I played a lot of minutes in those games. Just playing against that level of competition is going to raise your level. So I think game experience is just so important.
You and Davion have both had really strong stretches this year. Obviously, he had that stretch with the starters and then backing up quick while you were out. You come back. How much have you guys been able to push each other this year?
I think Davion is the ultimate professional. Just him being ready, him preparing himself for either not playing or playing, play groups, practices, whatever it is. You know, he's the same guy. And just having a guy that size, that's my size, who's been successful in this league, especially on the defensive end, just taking and learning from him, trying to build off what he does and also take some of it and put it into my game has been super helpful for me.
We saw you establish yourself as a defender pretty early in the season, but now that we're seeing more strides offensively, how much is the offensive side of the game for you mental?
I think it's just less thinking. And I think the shoot the ball Jamal RJ thing that's helped me tremendously. So just less thinking on the offensive end and just completely selling out, playing with effort and trying to do our principles.
You spoke about how you're getting used to the speed and the speed that Darko wants you to play with. As a team, how much closer do you think you're getting to the sort of way on both ends that Darko is preaching?
I think he preaches perfection, and you won't get to that, but you can get close. Just trying to push yourself and try to be perfect every game. He's not going to beat you up for it, but he's going to push you to it. So just having a coach like that helps you because, you know, he just wants the best out of you. So whenever he's trying to push me, I try to accept the challenge and try to reach it as much as possible.
We've seen a strong fourth quarter. I can't remember which game it was earlier this month. We've seen a strong fourth quarter performance from you before. So what about fourth quarters? Are you able to almost, step it up a notch or just lock in a little bit more?
I'm just trying to win. You know, whatever that looks like, whether it's me sitting in the corner, whether it's me trying to get a steal, whether it's me trying to make the big shot, just whatever it takes, just trying to get a win.
Pretty cool being out there, closing the game with 3 rookies, a sophomore, and then Scottie going up against a really good team.
I think that's a testament to us. You know, we didn't shy away from it. I think we accepted the challenge and we looked forward to it. And I think it was really fun and we made it fun. So, you know, we're young, but that's how you learn.
How do you root against this team? Are you soulless? Can't root against this team. Only rooting for this team. Always. Only rooting for this team. I reject the charge that this channel is all about Scottie Barnes. It is not. It is about this team. And this team plays like a team. Devin Landry saying shed heads in the chat. Give me a W if you're a shed head. Don't give me a W if you fell asleep listening to this live at 12:30 in the morning. Now, I do need to get my ass going because I got like 3.5 hours of pen dance work to do before I get probably 3 hours of sleep before I got to figure out what the hell we're talking about on the panel tomorrow so I can get up and actually prepare for that, because I really do believe in being prepared for my job. And I do believe that if I'm being paid to be somewhere, that I got to bring the best of myself. So you understand, oh, look at all the W's. Devin Landry, Harrison Silva, nice win, Shetty, missed the assignment, Colin, LeVar, Dan Breezy, T-Dot's finest, She-Wolf, nice one. I mean, you just really just keep missing the assignment, man. Mark, Gregor, Gregory saying I fell asleep, W Mod, Oak Tree, W Mod, and Zodiac Jack. Mark, Bueno Kitty, woke up just to give a W. That's why I kind of dread the team getting changed up. No, I don't think the Raptors are in a position where they're just going to abandon what they're doing. No, I think what they're doing is they're either developing Jamal, Shead, and all these young players to be players on this team or some other team, regardless of where you're developing them for. I mean, if you view this as an entrepreneurship opportunity, right? It all comes down to how you view this, right? Now, I think most sports fans have a very narrow-minded approach to players. How does this player help my team? Can I quote John F. Kennedy when I say, ask not what your player can do for you, but rather what you can do for that player? Just a version of that John F. Kennedy quote that I heard so often in my childhood. These are entrepreneurship opportunities of a lifetime. They are not forever. A player like Jamal Shead gets one chance in the NBA. If he has an injury, touch wood, he doesn't get a second chance. He's a 45th overall pick. He's an undersized guard. Players like this have one shot. Y'all remember Eminem in 8 Mile? You only got one shot. Don't blow it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's kind of funny me quoting Eminem since people call me Eminem all the time because I wear the hat like Eminem and but you only get one shot. There's no Marvin Bagley level, high school hype mix, whatever. There's no James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, whatever. These kids are all taking their one shot at the pros. And it's beautiful to see what they're making of that shot. But it's also really lovely to see what the Raptors are doing to help them take that shot. And look, man, you're developing Jamal Shead right now for the next 15 years of his career. And I don't know where that career is going to land him. It could land him as the starting point guard of the Toronto Raptors in a couple of years. Or it could land him as a starting point guard in Brooklyn in 2 years. Or it could make him the best player in Europe in 4 years. Whatever it is, I'm rooting for this guy to succeed in basketball because he's put the work in to actually get there, and he deserves it. He deserves every good thing that comes to him for the years that he put in Houston, to the work that he's put in with the Raptors, to betting on himself at the draft, to pushing his way into the system because he knew that this would be a place where he could develop and he didn't have to sign that two-way contract and get some guaranteed money. Most of these players are not rich, so this is generational money. The first contract takes care of your family. The second contract takes care of your family's family. The third contract takes care of your family's lineage for the next 10 generations if you don't fuck it up. And that's what really every player, and that's what's on the line. But if you look at, not to harp too much on the economic disparity between, communities of color and white people in America and the United States and Canada, but the truth is, this is one of the greatest wealth redistribution projects in the world. The NBA, the WNBA to a way lesser degree, the NFL, MLB. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to push people up and to allow people to succeed. And so what you really hate is when organizations suck at helping these players achieve their goals, because it's not so selfish as this draft pick sucks for me. Killian Hayes sucks for my fantasy team. This is a really, really selfish way to look at, I think, the whole world is what have you done for me? Now, what are you doing for them and how is it working out? I think what the Raptors are doing for all these young kids is great. They're giving them opportunity. They're giving them guidance. They're giving them clear directives. They're giving them a place to actually play hoop every single day. They're putting solid veterans around them. This is how organizations build. And you know what? If I'm an agent right now, I want you to think about this. You see how Jamal Shead's playing right now? You see how Jacoby Walter is playing? You see how Jonathan Mobo is playing? All of these guys are late round picks. They're not lottery picks. So they're either mid first round picks. Jacoby will probably be an end of first round pick if he were to come out of this draft, maybe an early second round pick. So all these guys were like not surefire things coming out of college. If I'm an agent right now and I have a client who's going end of the first round, I'm pushing that client to Toronto at 37 or 38 or wherever the hell that Portland pick ends up. Do you know why? Because I know that my client is going to get a real shot at sticking in the pros. That's all I want. I'm an agent. As much as I'm a well-wisher, I'm also a businessman. I want my client to be in a place where they're going to become a better basketball player so they can pick up their second contract. The Raptors have figured this out, man. The Raptors have figured this out. And that's why Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam are such lasting and meaningful emblems for your franchise. Because what you are showing, what you are demonstrating, what the Spurs demonstrated with Danny Green and what the Spurs demonstrated with Kawhi Leonard is that they can develop talent, great talent. And what you demonstrate when you do that consistently is that you are a person that I want to be in business with if I'm a player's agent, a player's family. Now, you may say players have no choice where they go. Sort of. But both players, all three players that the Raptors picked up in the second round, pretty much forced their way into Toronto. I want to be clear about that. Jonathan Mobo wanted to be in Toronto. He wanted to be here. Y'all may not, like, y'all, it's pretty obvious, right? Why he wanted to be here, but like, that's one of the reasons he wanted to be here. But another reason he wanted to be here is because one of his best friends could sell him on how amazing his coaching staff is and what they could do for his game. That whether or not his next contract would be with the Raptors or whether he'd be with the Raptors in 2032, that the Raptors were going to set him up for that next stage of his career. Ulrich wanted to be in Toronto. He was happy to be drafted by the Raptors 57th. Happier than he would have been being drafted 54th, 52nd, 47th, because ultimately what people realize with these second round picks is it's all about fit. It's all about fit because it's all about getting to your next deal. And you want to be in a stable organization that's actually going to develop you right. What did Ulrich's trainer say to us when we did the interview, right? What did he say? The Raptors did their work early. But yeah, they did their work early on the Raptors too. They trust Masai. What did Joe Tuamu say to Ulrich? You're going to be safe here. As long as Masai is there, you're good. You're safe. Perfect. You know what human beings need to thrive? Number one, they need safety and peace. I need to not be worried about what people are saying about me. I need to be not concerned about whether or not I'm being guided in the wrong direction. I need to be not fearful that I'll just be forgotten or tossed away or discarded, that my development will actually be taken care of. You want the best out of people, put them in a place where they're safe. You want the worst out of people, put them in a place where they feel unsafe. It's very true. Whether you want the best out of your kids, the best out of your players, if you're a coach out there, the best thing you can do is meet people on their level and make sure that they're okay before you start dictating what you want from them. Now that we have confirmed that we are good, now I can demand that you play fucking defense. And I can bench your ass if you don't. I can start holding you accountable only once you know that you're safe in my hands. I can start preaching to you about how to change your shot form and change your shot diet and figure out your playmaking once we establish that I'm someone worth trusting and that you can trust me. The Raptors implicitly understand this. It's a very important thing. And this is a big reason why they're so good at developing talent. And it's such a big reason why Players like Ochai, Jacoby, Jonathan Mobo, Jamal, Shead are going to be the best versions of themselves as Raptors. It's the best thing that you can hope for as a franchise is that you can identify talent, that you're in the position, that you put yourself in the position to actually pick that talent. But you know what's amazing about the potential of the Raptors getting Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper or BJ Edgecombe or Kaman Malawach? Any one of those players is going to be the best version of whatever the hell they're going to be here and never have to worry that we're going to end up in a Marvin Bagley situation where his whole family's pissed off at the organization and there's trust fractured between him and the coach and he doesn't feel like the organization is using him, well, and he doesn't like the ownership. This is not here. The Raptors are a stable organization and it's a beautiful thing to see. I got to tell you, I've watched a lot of these unstable organizations in my life, a lot of my childhood. I've talked a lot about how early childhood experiences, sort of train us into how we see the world. I grew up a Knicks fan. I know a lot about instability, man. Had coaches quitting, had friggin' players sour, controversy, lots of scandals, lots of ownership, and then of course, moving to Canada and watching what Dolan and the Knicks and Isaiah Thomas did to that organization, and then moving to Canada and then seeing what Rob Babcock did to the Toronto Raptors. I have a great appreciation for stability, and I'm so happy that these players are thriving here. But what's important for you to realize is that the next player who comes here, they know who you are. They know what they're getting themselves into. The next player who comes here knows that's a good place to be. They play hard there. They play together. Their superstar is selfless. Their coach cares. Their rookies play. Their rookies get better. And you know what? You know what's kind of an underrated part about that is when you come here and you fail, it actually is on you. You don't get to. There's no excuses because everybody else succeeds. So when you fail, when you come here, there's no excuse. You fucked up. If you can't figure out Darko and you can't figure out Jama, bro, you're not cut out for the NBA. If you don't get along, if Masai Ujiri doesn't like you, there's something wrong with you. It's not him. That's what you want. See, when you get kids that go into San Antonio or you get kids that go into Miami, there's no excuses because you're working for a world-class organization with world-class general managers and world-class champions, by the way, championship head coaches. So they think that there's something wrong with your game. Unfortunately, you're wrong by default. It's really important to remove that excuse that probably every kid in Washington has right now of like, well, yeah, I'm struggling, but look at my organization, they're fucking shit. Look at my teammates, they're shit. The culture's shit. So it's not my fault. It's not my fault I'm failing. It's everybody else's fault. Remove the equation. Remove that from the equation. It's never. The final thing I'll say to you is about Scottie in the mid-range and the lob threat. This vital component, this vital piece that is missing from your roster. And I want to say the Tyson Chandler archetype, but not necessarily Tyson Chandler. It could be something like Tyson Chandler, like a young Serge Ibaka or something like that. You're missing that player. And what I'm seeing from Scottie in the mid-range and Scottie in the mid-post and at the nail and how he's attacking these closeouts and how he's attacking these, these bigs when they close out to him is I'm seeing a player who's basically like a cheat code in the middle of the court. And I'm seeing a non-shooter on his left, a closed-off shooter on his right, a blocked-off shooter at above the break, and a big in the paint who's not a lob threat or can't catch a pass. How many times is he going to find Orlando Robinson, only for Orlando Robinson, who's not necessarily the most vertical athlete, to not be able to finish that because he sinks and then he tries to gather and then it's not a good finish, right? So if you have a Derek Lively in there, you just toss it up to the rim. You got a Wemby in there, boom, toss it up to the rim. You got a Chet in there, boom. You need that player somewhere in your roster, whether you draft him, sign him, trade for him. You got to find that player to put next to a Scottie Barnes. And ideally, that player will be able to shoot a little bit because that'll be the ultimate cheat code. Because right now, with Jakob Poeltl, as much as I believe in his floater range finishing and some of his, I don't want to say post moves, but like finishing touch around the rim is okay. He's not exactly either or. He's not Kelly, where you pick and pop with him and the defense is really stressed out because they have to close out to a really, really great shooter. And he's not quite the lob threat that a Tyson Chandler is. He's neither. You guys are going in the right direction. Malawach and Shamshi are the direction, that is the type of player that you want to put next to a Scottie Barnes. You want to put a rim protector in so he doesn't have to do as much, but also to amplify what he already does so well. You put Scottie Barnes next to a really dominant, like I want to think about a player that I think, at least in theory, that we would all be familiar with that would work in this situation, apart from a Derek Lively, a Rudy Gobert, as the lob threat, and maybe not Rudy Gobert. Who's a good example? Young Clint Capella. You see how Trae Young works with those guards, right? Well, Trae has the additional thing. Now, with Scottie in the jump shot, right now, the important thing is you want your best players to be able to operate in those zones that are a little bit closer to the basket. But you also want them, if the defense plays it as such, to be able to back up and hit the three. So right now, Scottie is succeeding in the mid post as sort of his bread and butter. And that's not really where you want to be as a player. You don't want that to be your only option. You don't want to be like, okay, if I'm not within 22 feet to like 14 feet, I'm pretty much fucked. Like, you don't want to be a 16 feet and in player, but then outside of that, you really don't have it, because it does limit sort of what you can do. But I do think if you're going to be that type of player, if you're a team that believes that for whatever reason that Scottie Barnes is not going to be a good shooter at any point in his life from outside of 20 feet, then you really need like your Brook Lopez type. You need a rim protector who can sufficiently finish around the rim and can stretch the floor. A Marc Gasol. I can think of 100 players through NBA history as centers that would be significant upgrades over Jakob Poeltl at that position. That's not me criticizing Jakob Poeltl. That's me criticizing the fit in a Jakob Poeltl Scottie Barnes pick and roll. It's just not great. It doesn't feel great. It just feels like they get in each other's way a lot. They're kind of in the same zones. They do a lot of the same stuff. This will be like having Domantas Sabonis on your team. Like, he's a great player. He's a fantastic player, but it's the same thing. But Domas can at least hit threes. Alperen Sengun can hit threes. Sengun can hit threes, right? But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So even if I look at like role player variants of this, like an Orlando Robinson to some extent who can hit some threes, or an elevated role player like a Miles Turner, or maybe like an even better example would be a Naz Reid. I look at players like that and I'm just like, okay, I would love to see a 10-game sample of Scottie playing with a big like that, just to see how much more space it opens up for him to drive contested. Because right now, what I'm seeing when some people complaining, I think there was a caller who was talking about his finishing around the rim. He's finishing over 2 7-footers. That's difficult. That's difficult for a lot of players. That's difficult for Paolo. That's difficult for Giannis. That's difficult for LeBron. That's difficult for everybody. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to attack a closeout. You want to attack an advantage, and then you want to meet one defender at the rim. There's not a lot of players in NBA history who can finish over 2 7-footers at the rim. It's just not something that you're supposed to be able to do, because the whole point of 7-footers being there is to deter you from finishing at the rim. So, I think Scottie can do himself a lot of favors by being a little bit more direct to the basket, but I also understand that he's playing hobbled a little bit right now. And, maybe if the Raptors do pull it apart at the trade deadline, that would be a good example. That would be a good reason for him to take a week off or 2 weeks off and just kind of chill with it, a little bit. So, yeah, Devin Landry saying chemistry in the locker room is great. I just worry trades can mess things up. Don't think Ingram fits. So here's my question to you. We've heard a lot of reporting around Brandon Ingram. Now, I do think it's worth noting that Jake Fisher was dead right about the OG Anunoby to New York stuff. But I think he got that from New York. I don't think he got that from Toronto. So, that's kind of where I'm at with that. But when's the last time, apart from the OG Anunoby to New York stuff, that you've ever known what Toronto was actually going to do? Did they let it leak that they were going to draft Scottie Barnes? No. Did they let it leak that they were going to draft Jacoby? No. Did they let it leak that they were super interested in Grady Dick? Nope. These are not players. Did they even let it leak that they were going to hire Darko Rajakovic before the news broke? Was he on anyone's radar? This is an organization that moves like a ninja, okay? They don't let it leak. It's so interesting to hear Rob Pelinka explain the process through how Nico Harrison and him set up that Luka Doncic deal, because I'll tell you, it does give you a window into how secretive certain organizations are about trades. And basically, the stipulation is as follows: if this leaks beyond this conversation, the deal is off. You want to do business with us, you're not going to be a leaky organization. This is why the Raptors repeatedly do business with the Spurs, because none of their Spurs deals have leaked. The Jakob Poeltl deal, the Thaddeus Young deal, and the Kawhi deal did not leak until it was done. That's what the benefit is of working with a team like the Raptors or the Spurs. So my question to you is, how does Jake Fisher know that the Raptors called about Brandon Ingram unless the Raptors called about Brandon Ingram, rebuked the offer, and now the team that was called about Brandon Ingram is using the Raptors' factual interest in Brandon Ingram as a means of drumming up interest in Brandon Ingram? I'm not ruling out the fact that the Raptors could be interested in Brandon Ingram. I'm not ruling out the fact that they called the Pelicans about Brandon Ingram. What I'm ruling out is the idea that because Jake Fisher is saying, watch the Raptors with Brandon Ingram, I'm ruling out that that's a reason to actually watch the Raptors with Brandon Ingram. I think there was probably something that was said behind the scenes, a deal that was potentially explored. Maybe it was Bruce Brown and Chris Boucher for Brandon Ingram and a second round pick or something of that sort. And the deal got hung up on the inclusion of a Jacoby Walter or something like that. And the Raptors just like, no, we're cool. So now the New Orleans Pelicans go to Sam Amick, or they go to Shams, or they go to Jake Fisher, and they say, hey, the Raptors are interested in Brandon Ingram, just an FYI. Like, it's something to monitor, but it's only there to monitor because it's done. Probably. That's my read on it. Wouldn't be surprised if I woke up tomorrow, the Raptors trade for Brandon Ingram. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I would not be surprised by that. But I do think that it is also, and I've mentioned this before on, I think, 3 lives ago, I do think that it's worth noting that by stating that you are interested in Brandon Ingram, I believe, at least strategically, you are at least pivoting away from this notion that you are 100% interested in Cooper Flagg and tanking. By winning all these games, you are throwing a massive misdirection to the other teams out there that you only have one way to go. Now, of course, you play 3 rookies down the stretch against the New York Knicks in a game that you lose. I think the tea leaves are on the wall here, but not getting blown out in this game, still fighting back, still giving a competitive effort. I do think it saves face a little bit on the loss. Overall, tough loss for the Raptors. I'm not crying about it, though. I'm perfectly fine with it. And as is the tradition around here, after every single loss, we do the Tankathon spin. I don't know if we've actually done that. Maybe I'm just like gaslighting myself into thinking that's an actual tradition, but let's assume it is. Hang on. Let's pull up the Tankathon and let's get this. Okay. So the trade deadline is 1 day, 14 hours, 5 minutes, and 32 seconds away. Wild. Okay. Now, sim the lottery. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And I will stop only when Toronto gets the first overall pick. So I'm going to see how many spins it takes. That's 1 spin, 2 spins. Oh, so close. 3 spins, 4 spins, 5 spins, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It took 11 spins. Oh dear God. Don't tell me this actually broke. I'm getting on Twitter, Sharms reporting Cade going to NY. Did you get fooled? Because I'm not seeing that. He didn't report it. Was it NBA Centel? Did you actually get Centelled? There's a first time for you, Summerlow. I don't believe you're trolling. I think you might have gotten NBA Centelled. So let's check NBA Centel. No. Not even Centel. Who the hell is Charms? Bro, Charms is a fake, as you can tell by the extra R in his name. But that's an interesting troll. That it's the same people. Lyra Alvarez saying this guy procrastinating on pen dance. You are correct. I am absolutely procrastinating like hell. All right. I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Thank you, Lyra, for this absolutely clutch reminder. I am totally procrastinating right now. My girlfriend will see me like for an hour doom scrolling on Twitter, looking for trade news on the Raptors, and she's like, "Aren't you supposed to be working on pen dance?" Look, I love this festival, but sometimes I do have a little bit of resistance to doing some paperwork on it. So, anyways. Ashley saying, can you spin for a second or third in the draft? My theory is they leverage for first. I don't know what you mean. I really don't. But can you explain what you mean? Recruiter dude with the super chat, man. I appreciate you saying great live. Appreciate you as always. Did I miss any super chats? I think I might have. I did. PattyMaholmes, who called in. I don't know if you're still watching, but appreciate you. And KP, no such thing as patience anymore with people. I agree. I think our attention span is very, very limited. And JS Gang, who is a frequent commentator, says, Rob, what do you think about Scottie's finishing? I talked about it with the first or second caller, but I'll reiterate it for you here as well. And I apologize for getting to your super chat so late. I don't know why I pushed this off towards the end. But yes, I think that he's hurt. I think he's been finishing really well around the rim for the most part. And I think that Ashley saying how many spins for second or third? Well, we did get second at some point, but sure, I can try that for you. Harrison Silva saying, what are you hoping for tomorrow's game? Development. I mean, they're a really big team. They're a really, really big team. And also, L host Rob. Yep. I'm learning from the worst. I'm learning from Ron. Shout outs to LaRon. Yeah. So overall, I think Scottie's finishing will be fine. I find that he is a little bit hurt right now and a little bit hobbled, and I can see it in just the way that he's walking around. Okay, to see how many spins it takes for second or third. Third, boom. Took one spin, we got third. Second. Oh, we got number one again. That's nice. But we're not after number one, apparently. We're after number 2. 5, 6. Ah, damn it. We got Cooper Flag again. No NBA draft. We are looking for Dylan Harper. Damn it. We got Ace Bailey. Okay, well, it took us a long time. It took us a whole bunch of Cooper Flags. We ended up with the number 1 pick a bunch of times. But I got to tell you, we finally got it. We got our man. We got number 2. Okay. It's also worth noting we did get the second pick. Yes. Bueno Kitty saying, stop spinning. exclamation mark, so I can tell he's really serious, or he or they are very serious about it. Stop spinning. You're wasting our number one tries. You are correct. I usually do stop at number one, but this time we were trying to get Zigsaw puzzle with the final question of the night. Rob, what if we get first and don't take flag? Do you remember me crashing out about Jack Armstrong at the beginning of this live? Do you remember me crashing out about Fred VanVleet? Do you remember me crashing out about Pascal Siakam? Do you remember me crashing out about Doug Smith? Do you remember me crashing out about William Liu? Do you remember me crashing out about JD Bunkus? Do you remember me crashing out about Trump? Do you remember me crashing out about racists, talking shit to Pascal Siakam and Chris Boucher? Do you remember me crashing out about Josh Lewenberg? You have seen nothing in your life if the Raptors get the number one overall pick and not pick Cooper Flagg. Holy fucking hell. I would be unbearable. I would not shut up for 2 weeks. I would be marching on the streets asking for Masai Ujiri to be fired. No, I won't. I'll trust Masai, but I will be so fucking pissed off, and I better get the best explanation in the history of human civilization as to why they passed up on that dude, because he is a great basketball player. Seriously, awesome basketball player. All right, I'll talk to y'all later, and yeah. And by the way, just so we're clear on this, just so I have I have this for the record, so I can talk about it like 2 years from now and bring this up and be like, yo, I said this. I would still take AJ Debonsa over him. Everything I just said about Cooper Flagg, I think I would still take AJ Debonsa over him. That's where I'm at. All right, talk to y'all later. Have a great night. Thank you to those of you who stuck with us for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Appreciate you. And to Recruiter Dude, Patty Mahomes, thank you for calling in. I think you did fine. I think he did fine. I don't know if you end up watching till the end of this. I think he did perfectly fine. Apologize if I came off as a little bit antagonizing or intimidating in the beginning, because I was like, hey, you're a hater, you know. I see your comments. Maybe I've judged you incorrectly, but yeah. JS Gang saying, Rob, what do you see in Scottie's finishing? You talked about that. And KP. Cool. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great night.